Your Max workshop live from Auckland. I can't wait to share it with you. We had a great group of people. The youngest person at the workshop was City, who's 11. She's our youngest Max exercise professional. Right through to Wayne, who's just turned 70 years young, who's also a Max exercise professional. We had qualified people and non-qualified people, people who graduated a really long time ago, and people who have just completed the program. And I'm sharing all of that with you because it's a great experience. I'd love to see you at a workshop. It's a room full of passionate, positive people sharing their insight, their wisdom, their experiences, what they know about exercise, and what we as exercise professionals should know about lots of different people. The workshop is really important. How do we inspire women in particular to want to be strong? How do we inspire everybody to want to be strong? But women, unfortunately, a lot of us are scared of, I don't want big muscles, I don't want to be bulky, I don't want to look like a bloke, of course, because you're a woman. And as exercise professionals, though, we want to get people fit and we want to get them strong. And the only way to do that is get people, of course, to get puffed and to overload their muscles. So the workshop is the inside of a big pile of people, excited, passionate people who are sharing their insight with you. You're going to hear some funny noises about, well, it's not about every 15 minutes, exactly on 15 minutes. We all got up and sprinted. So if you're wondering what's going on every 15 minutes, please do it with me. Every 15 minutes, get up and pump happy drugs into your brain, grow new brain cells, because of course when you get puffed, you have neurogenesis. You pump brain-derived neurotropic factor into your brain, dopamine, norepinephrine, noradrenaline, the happy drugs that make us feel good, connect our brain cells up so that we can remember more, we can learn more effectively, and most importantly, grow new brain cells so we become wiser and even more smart. So that's what we're doing every 15 minutes. And of course, what a great thing to do every day. Get puffed every 15 minutes. So enjoy the workshop. I'd love your feed forward. So get back to me and share your insight, your experience, your wisdom on training women, or how you feel about strength training and being fit and strong. And most importantly, if you can come to a workshop, we'd love to see you there. It's a really great experience to invest time with passionate, positive people who are excited about exercise. Enjoy the workshop. Here it is. The topic for today is simply women. How do we get women strong? Even the ones that are scared about getting bulky or getting bigger. And the reason I've used the terminology women is because as women, and I know the men in the room, you'll never understand this because you're blokes, and that's good. As women, do we need to be strong?
Yes.
Do we need to be mentally strong?
Yes.
Do we need to be physically strong?
Yes.
Let me rephrase. If it was up to men to produce babies from between their legs, how many children do you think would have been born onto the planet? Maybe one. I don't know. I have never done that, so I don't know. But I cannot imagine what it's like to produce a watermelon out of a apple. There's a great visual to start the afternoon. I cannot imagine what that's like. That requires strength, yes? We, however, as women are not considered to be strong. We often get somebody to open the jar for us or carry the bag for us or do things for us. Could that be a challenge from a strength point of view? If somebody else is always doing things for us. So, what I'd like to, if you've got a question, we have to cover it this afternoon. Do you have a particular question, topic, challenge that you've come across as an exercise professional with women in strength training? Because I'll go back to my first statement. The only way to get fit and strong is to get puffed and to overload muscles and bones. And I'll put that into one word. If you're taking notes, just make a big page with capital letters. The only way to get fit is to overload your heart and lungs, yes? 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 Remember, for your final knowledge check, there is one of those questions where you have to produce information that nobody will argue with. And I'm doing that this afternoon. If you've got anything that I share this afternoon, if you don't agree with that, or you can prove that what I said was wrong, I'm really open and happy for that. Because as exercise professionals, one of the biggest challenges we have is that we deliver information that people argue with. Have you noticed on social media, you can make a statement, put something, post something, and you will have 10, 20, 30, 40 people say that's not true, you're full of shit, and now all we've got going on is an argument. Have we come to a time in our world where we have to stop arguing about health and fitness, and we actually have to get people healthy and fit? Sorry, City. Please say yes, Rowie. Yes. So if we go to, if I overload my heart and lungs, I'll get fit. Yes? Yes. If I overload my muscles and bones, I'll get strong. Yes. Does that sound good? Yes. So if we start from that basis, hello. Robbie, how are you? Good. And this must be Paul.
Yeah.
And did you bring Jet?
No.
Well, that's okay. Everybody, this is Paul. And Robbie. And this is everybody.
Hello.
Hey, let's do this because I'd like everybody to get to learn everybody's names. This would be very good. So, Robbie, Paul. Oh, I can't do it. I know everybody's names.
Andre.
Shayla.
Dempsey.
Bubbles!
I'm Chrissy.
Mike.
Annie. City.
Watching. Prabal.
Jay.
Debbie.
Shandy.
See you guys.
Rowie came in. Lovely to see you. Good things I know everybody's names.
Oh no, I thought you said things you know.
No.
No, I won't.
Sit down.
That's true.
And not only has she written them down, can you share with people what you've done?
I've written down
You started with Anna, in fact. Shayla.
yeah, so I've written down like if you have like a necklace, I've written that down to recognize you.
You've written everybody's names and something about you that she will remember. Isn't that awesome? Just as a very special side note, as exercise professionals, would it be important to learn people's names?
Always.
If you're in a group class, you as the exercise professional, you're going to be the superstar. If you're teaching the class, you're like the rock star. And if you've ever been to a concert of somebody that you appreciate musically, and they, from the stage, point at you, who's your favourite musician, Chrissy?
Foo Fighters.
You're at Foo Fighters, you're in the front row, the lead singer looks at you and says, "Thank you, Chrissy, for coming to the concert." For the people that come to your classes, for your clients, that's who you are. You're the lead singer, you're the superstar. Can you imagine how special it would be for you to use their name? Do you know what people say to me? Oh, I don't remember people's names. If you say so, if you say that you don't remember people's names, guess what? You don't. If you say, I'm really good at remembering people's names, and you tell yourself that you're good at remembering people's names, and what City's done is what the program teaches you anyway, is that in your headspace, create a picture. And
Session 2
in session 2 with Kate is the true list and how to attach a person's name to a picture so that you remember it. And I'm asking you to do that because every single person in this room has shared with Kate or I that the reason you became an exercise professional is because you want to help people. If you really want to help people, would it be a really good idea to start with their name? The most important sound to a person is their name. If you remember their name, now you've got a good start. Come in, MC. Are your kids good?
Yeah. Usually.
No, but no, not are they good. Are they okay to be outside?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Okay, honestly, a little bit.
No.
Now, this week, they're downstairs.
I need to get my muscles strong.
They've got my cash card and my cell phone, so...
All right, so the question was, does anybody have a challenge that they've had with training women? So, fine, I won't ask everybody because that would take a long time, but if everybody has a challenge, we want to record them all. So, who wants to start? Yes, MC?
Actually, this is a challenge when I was being trained by my trainer. She made me do this funny move, and I've got such big breasts and my tummy's so floppy from 4 kids now that it all sort of flapped forward and I couldn't breathe.
God, I love you. Could there be anything more honest than that? And should that be something that every exercise professional knows and understands? That a person who has a bigger body could have a challenge with exercise, yes or no? And should we be aware of that? So shall I put boobies?
Yeah, boobies, for sure. But then it got worse because there was the jumping thing, and I get bladder leakage, and I herniated my uterus, which sounds really terrible. It's not as terrible as you think, but if you're jumping, skipping and stuff, you kind of have to skip with your legs crossed because otherwise you feel like everything's going to fall out.
Who didn't know that? And please be honest. If we're not going to be honest this afternoon, this is not going to work. Who didn't know that a woman that's had a baby, if she jumps with her legs apart, it feels like her entire insides are going to fall out? Hands up if you didn't know that. Great. And hands up if you didn't know that that will also cause you to tinkle in your pants, or tinkle on the floor, or leave a puddle on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
So, can you understand that exercise for women, can you imagine if you're in a class and you pee your pants, would that be embarrassing?
Well, sometimes I laugh so hard the tears run down my legs.
Tears run down my legs. Awesome. So we've had a great start to the afternoon. If you're going to be training women, particularly women that have had children, would it be a really good idea to be aware of that this thing that we have, that men don't have, can be a challenge in one way, shape or form when we exercise. And if we jump, we're either going to have to have an immediate hysterectomy because everything's going to fall out by itself, or it's going to feel very uncomfortable, or you're going to pee your pants, or it's just going to be a yucky experience. So things like star jumps become an exercise that is not good for a group exercise class, because unless you go around and ask everybody, have you had a baby? And I think most of you have heard this before, but when you do a group exercise class, you don't want to learn about people's medical challenges at the end of the class. But you also don't want to learn about their challenges in a group. Now, MC is beautiful. She was very happy to share today that she's had that challenge, yes? But the story that I always use, I had a guy come to me at the end of my class, and he said to me, you asked everybody at the start, does anybody have any medical challenges? And I asked that question in a group. I've never since that day ever asked that question in a group. So this guy says to me at the end of my class, he pulled his shirt up, zigzag.
Yeah.
The guy had a heart transplant.
Wow.
Do you think you might want to know that at the start of the class, not at the end of the class?
Have to call an ambulance.
Just as another interesting, those of you that have met Greg from Olympia in Brisbane, and you will meet him, by the way, because I sent out KMAX yesterday, which is the online workshop that KMAX does every week. It's a live seminar from Olympia in Brisbane. Greg, who's the owner of that facility, he had to do CPR on a man in his club a few weeks ago who died. The man died in the health club. Should you be ready for that? Do you know what people said at the end? They thought he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder because he wasn't stressed. The reason he wasn't stressed because he was prepared. He's the kind of guy that you would trust in a panic situation because he remains cool, calm and collected under pressure. We're getting a lot of information in a short period of time, aren't we? Okay, so thank you, MC, for sharing. I very much appreciate that. Who else has had a challenge with something to do with women? Because we want to cover off everything today.
I think to how to approach women, to explain to them that to lift heavy weights, to lift heavy.
Who's had a challenge with women not wanting to either lift weight at all or to lift heavy weights? So they might do little light dumbbells, but they don't want to do heavy weights. So if I put lift heavy, would that work?
Yeah, and compound exercise, they prefer to do it in Smith or other machines, and they think that it's more safe for them.
Machines.
Machines.
So if they do lift weights, they prefer machines. Yeah.
And train upper body. It's
Who's-
like I don't want to have big arms, and I just used to big.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's interesting because we'll ask the question as a group. Who's had the experience where a woman doesn't want to, she's happy to do something with her legs, but she doesn't want to do anything with her upper body because she doesn't want a bigger body. So if I've just put big, You will all know what I mean. What about the reverse? Women who say, I want to do weights for my triceps or for my biceps or for my chest, but I don't want to do anything for my legs because I don't want bulky legs. Has anybody heard that? Okay. See, if you haven't heard it, that's good, because at some time you may come across that. Have you heard about, have you had the experience where women have said to you, I want to do strength training, I want to go to the gym, but I only want to work on certain areas? That would be another question. Yes. Okay. So big and... Yeah. Target areas. Very good. What else? As exercise professionals or parents, teachers, coaches, other hassles or challenges you've had with getting women to be strong?
I think confidence. Some of the people I've trained, they don't have the confidence to lift the heavy things that, well, in my mind, they can.
So you say you can do this amount of weight, and they say, no, that's too heavy for me. Yeah. So I'm happy that it's lightweight, but I don't really go for the heavy weight.
Sorry.
Yes,
another
please.
time I was training with this really, really beautiful guy, and I was so embarrassed because he was so good looking that I overdid it. And I injured myself and threw up off the pulley thing, the rubber.
Can I just, please, for us as a group, thank MC for coming today. Yay! That kind of honesty is exactly what we need today. So you put in a much bigger effort than you normally would, because he's a good-looking bloke.
I was too embarrassed to show how unfit I was.
As a good-looking man in the room, you must take note of that women will extend themselves because they're trying to impress you. Bubbles.
Yeah, so I agree with her,
Yeah.
because one of the girls in my group that I take, for them it was low self-esteem,
Yeah.
and the embarrassment of being big, looking in the mirror. Like a lot of
Could I just stop there? Would it be fair to put mirrors could be a challenge for some women,
Absolutely.
or for some people even?
Because I can see the Mexican wave happening in the mirror of my belly. Down some
And you're not keen to see that?
No, I don't see it. I don't want other people to see it, but I really don't want to see it.
Bit of
Other
market
people see it.
research. Who hates looking in the mirror? Hands up. Just one? You hate it.
I don't like to squat in front of a mirror or anything.
Who would never train without a mirror? Who doesn't care? Take note, even if there's only one person that doesn't like to train, this is not a good group for that, by the way, because a lot of people in this room can't go to the gym. Do you know how many people of the general public, I'll rephrase, have you ever wondered why somebody, a person, can get so big? Have you ever thought, I'm asking for your opinion on this one, Bubbles, have you ever wondered why if somebody's 130, 150, 200 kilos, have you ever wondered how did that happen?
comfortable. Being comfortable. For me, being Samoan, it's upbringing as well.
So your circle of influence
Yeah,
was
your circle
bigger.
of influence.
Yeah.
So, as kids, because kids are great eaters. You know, kids play they're always on the go.
Yeah.
They run in, ball, grab something, and they run out. But it's the upbringing when your parents, when they cook it, they expect you to sit there at that table and eat it. Do not leave the table until your dinner is finished. Where for us, because when you're growing up, it's always the same. It's just assurance, reassurance. You know, they always remind you constantly. Hey, don't leave the table. Come and eat your food. I cooked it. You're not gonna waste it. So they just keep eating. Come the next day, same thing. And as you grow up, it's just a process that is always in your head.
Is that the same for girls too, Bubbles?
Yeah, even for the girls. And then, to me, it's funny because they know, but they still do it. Like girls, they know, they still do it. Because my wife does it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I feed off, my wife. Right? But as you grow older, you know, you start living the life. You make money and all that stuff. So sometimes you go to a restaurant and maybe it's a buffet. So the plate is flat, so you should get a flat feed Well, a lot of them just go, flat plate, volcano, and then explode, smash it. Right? But in the mind, there's like, okay, I've got to finish this, I've got to finish. But the body's saying stop. But because they're so comfortable from upbringing that they thought it's natural to them, and they just eat, and I've got to finish this, I can't wait to. Think about the kids in Africa. They don't even make it. We've got to eat it. We've got to eat it. But the body's saying stop.
I'm hoping everybody's taking notes. Would it be really important to put culture on this list?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and not only culture. I read a book about how gene affects our appetite. So, for example, that's right among Pacific people, there are a lot of obese people because the genes helped them to store fat and to be alive. Like, I don't know if it's English, but that's why they have better appetite. I mean, they want to eat. They just want to eat, and
we're going to cover that on
Can we
culture.
argue that?
Yeah.
Can we argue that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I don't know, sorry, it's the same question. Is this,
gene mutation?
the question is this arguable, you know? Is this arguable?
Yeah.
Because if it's arguable,
across the board for today, this is really important. And remember, Martin graduated a long time ago. He now manages a health club and he deals with people every day. The question that will always get asked in this room is why and how. Why does that happen and how does that work? Why would that be true and how would that be true? So I'm going to plant that over across the board for today. I'm just going to put culture. Is it possible that there's a cultural challenge? And I just want to use what Barbara said. That in the Pacifica culture, that food is a big part of the culture, and that if you don't eat, it's considered disrespectful or rude, or the kids in Africa are starving.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Yeah. Our parents, they're so good at making you eat it.
Okay.
Like say something you don't like, and you don't like. They're like, man, I cooked it for you. I spent hours in the kitchen, but they have that smart way of saying it to you. Like they go, look. You've been gone for ages. Did I ask you to come and cook? No, you didn't. I cook for you. And because I'm the mum, if I make it, you eat it. If I buy it, you wear it. Sort of thing, you know? And then they do the, look, I spent all that time in the kitchen and you're not going to eat it.
So there's a psychology involved there, isn't there? It's not because you're hungry, it's a psychology thing. Now the reason I asked that original question though was about mirrors. Did you know that as people become larger in size, for whatever reason, cultural or psychological or whatever, that there's no joy anymore to look in the mirror. So guess what happens to the mirror size? Or how many mirrors there are in the house? Did you know that most people who are overweight only have face mirrors in their house? Yep. Isn't that interesting?
In fact, what do people do when they stop looking in the mirror?
They stop looking in the mirror. So can you see why if somebody then goes to the gym and it's full of mirrors, that could be a very confrontational, intimidating experience? Yes?
So the reason why I brought that mirror into it, because one of the girls in my challenge, she weighed 140 something. And in the process of being in my challenge, she never once looked in the mirror. And I always encouraged her. Like, I could see when there's things in her mind that is stressing her out, I always tell her, look, I want you to go home. When you go for a shower, look in that mirror and tell yourself that you're strong, Like, just remind yourself, that's all you have to do. So she goes, comes back, and did you do it? She goes, nah. But I make her work, because when I take a class, I always, so I do the, with eating, because I know some of them do the, I will finish class now, let's get her feet. So my little like motivational sort of thing is like whatever you eat, in private, you look in public.
Wow, that's an interesting statement.
Yeah, I was always telling them, I know you guys are doing your thing behind the. But remember, if you're gonna. So for me, I always use the. If you eat hard and drink hard, train hard.
Okay.
But whatever you eat in public, in private, you'll look in public.
Can I share something that might be relatable? Like you would have noticed, I've been ignoring my max for a wee while because I put on weight over COVID and I put on 20 kilos. And as a woman, I remember what I looked like before kids. So I've always got that picture, and as soon as I look in a mirror and don't see that beautiful 18-year-old body, I used to be a stripper, so I was hot.
God, I love this woman. She's as honest as they come. That's so cool.
I was really strong, and I was really beautiful, and I was really comfortable with my body. So as soon as your body changes, you don't know it anymore. It becomes a stranger for you.
So have you stopped looking in the mirror?
And, well, no, I stopped doing my max as well. I stopped going outside because I was just scared. To get here today was a big deal because I'm so embarrassed about what I look like right now that I don't want to see the people who have seen me before.
Well, let's make MC feel very special about coming today.
You have a baby and you just look so different and everything's everywhere. And
But that's the excuse.
no, and you lie back and your breasts go under your arm and your belly tucks under your back. You know, like it's just it's so
Yeah, because I have a
different.
lot of mums in my group, and they do that stuff. And I go, well, that's the excuse because you're.
All right, Bubbles, this is what this afternoon's about. Because the challenge that the men in the room have got is that you're not men. So you're not women, you're men. Yes?
Yeah.
And what I want the men to do this afternoon, please, is watch, please as an exercise, watch very carefully the women's faces today. Ladies, just relax and enjoy the afternoon. But the men, I really need you to watch because you actually don't understand this. You can't. You're a bloke. Bubbles, you're a bloke. You have a penis. It's different. Okay? Now, the other challenge we have as women is we think, as exercise professionals who are women, that we understand other women.
Yeah.
Could I please, if you take nothing else away from me today, this is the most important thing, and I'm sharing from my heart to yours, please. This program, the MAX program, is for you to inspire people to be fit and strong. Yes. After that, everybody's an individual person. To get people fit and strong. Number 2, after that, everybody is an individual person. Go back to the word from the top. How do we get fit? How do we get strong? Is it possible that every person in this room has a different way to overload, a different desired way to overload?
Yes.
Should we find out, as exercise professionals, if our goal is to get people fit and to get them strong, after that, Martin is not Annie, and Annie is not Bubbles, and Bubbles is not Andre.
Yep.
Everyone in this room likes different things, dislikes different things. We have different lifestyle, different culture, different beliefs, different religions. Yes or no?
Yes.
So please, from my heart to yours, after the idea of the concept I get that I've got to get people fit and strong, then everybody's an individual. And that's one of the biggest challenges with this afternoon, because as women, we think that we understand women. We don't. Because every woman is completely different to every other woman. And I'll go a step further. And MC, I'm looking for your raise of hands here. If you've had 4, 5, 6 children, is it possible that each individual pregnancy was different, for example? So you can't say, I know how to have a baby, where even a woman who's had more than one child will tell you that her individual pregnancies were different. How many men didn't know that? Oh, she just had 5 babies, she knows about babies. Each individual baby is different. I only have puppy dogs and they've all got completely different personality styles. So what we're doing this afternoon, we have to be very careful, please, is we're not lumping women into a box here. We're looking at some of the challenges that you might come across as an exercise professional and how to inspire that individual woman to want to be fit and strong. Does that make sense? Please say
Yes.
okay. Any other challenges that we need to cover off? And I'll just give you some ideas. We've got periods, we've got menopause, we've got pregnancy, we've got body image, we've got all of those things. Now, there's 3 of those that men will never have, which is a period, a baby, and a menopause. None of the men in this room will ever have that.
That's a triple threat.
So,
one of the things, look, a couple of things. When I've had women and men say, you know, I'm embarrassed and whatever to appear in front of others who are in better shape than I.
Could we stop there? Is that a challenge for people that they actually don't even want to come to you as a professional because they're embarrassed?
Or even just into a gym or into a room full of people that they think might be watching them. Like everyone thinks they're watching them.
So that word confidence that came from Jay, that would cover all of that, except that each individual person has a different reason for not wanting to go to the group. Would that be fair?
Yep.
They've got a different cultural background or a different experience in the past. Sorry, Wayne.
So I try and make it a challenge for myself to point out to them that almost everybody in the gym is actually going to work with themselves and that they're not taking any notice of you. And I try and sort of instill that in them. When you come to the gym, when I go to the gym and stand in front of the mirror, I'm looking at me. I want to see what form, I want to see what muscles doing. You know, I'm not looking at you.
And that's true for Wayne, isn't it? Could it be not true for other people?
I hope it's true for most people.
All right, different question. How many of you, and this is a male-female thing, but how many of you have ever gone to a gym and felt intimidated? Hands up. And I've been to some of the ugliest gyms in the world, some of the most beautiful gyms in the world. I've grown up in a gym and I've still felt uncomfortable in some gyms. So would it be, could I put this up here, do we need to go to the gym to get women strong?
No.
Not necessarily.
Could it be the gym itself that we don't have, that we took that off the table, we might inspire even more women to want to be strong, because at the moment they think they have to go to the gym and they're not interested in going to the gym. You've all heard my mother's story. My mother at 74 years of age with advanced osteoporosis. The only way to fix osteoporosis is to lift heavy things, and my mother's handicap to lifting heavy things was I don't want to wear a string in my bottom. My mum thought that to go to the gym you had to wear a G-string. Now my mother had never been to the gym, so why did my mother think that you had to wear a G-string?
What is yours?
No, it's more embarrassing than that, Bubbles. Far more embarrassing.
Because you were wearing it.
Because I was wearing one. So my mother was so embarrassed of me, her own daughter, wearing a G-string. And that's what, and I'm a daughter who goes to the gym, so when you go to the gym, you must have to wear a G-string. So my mother said, I'm not going to the gym, I'm not wearing one of those strings up my bottom.
More importantly, in the 80s, you wore the G-string on the outside.
With skin-coloured tights, with dance tights. So literally your ass was out.
Susie, eh?
At 74 years of age, my mother said, no, I'm not dressing like that. So could we put that clothing, who's had the experience where a woman doesn't want to go to a gym, a class, a fitness facility because of the clothing that she has to wear? Who's actually had that experience? Who would be even happy to share that you haven't gone to the gym because of the clothing that you have to wear? Thank you, MC. That's why I asked, because you've just been gorgeously honest today and I really appreciate it.
I trained a woman a couple of years ago who gave me, actually quite a lot, she gave me my clothing and said to me, when you think of me good enough shape to wear it, when you look back to me.
So she gave you the responsibility.
Yeah, and about 6 months after we started training, I gave it back.
All right, so this is the point of this afternoon. That's a really gorgeous story. And that worked for that lady. Is it possible that that wouldn't work for every lady? If you said to every lady that you train, you should give me an article of clothing, and then I think you're ready to wear it, I'll give it back to you. Do you think?
It's not really those things you should ask for.
But see, there's the challenge. If some of you hear that story, think, oh, Wayne's a mature guy, he knows what he's doing, that's a great idea. I'm going to go and ask all my females to give me an article of clothing, and when they're ready to wear it again, I'll give it back. Is it possible that that won't work for everybody? Is it really important that we ask? And that's, I'm going to start here with all these, we've got, leave me here, we've got a fair few challenges. Just quickly, is there any others that we need to cover off?
I don't know how helpful this is, but my biggest issue is consistency with my group classes for moms and things.
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
lot of, I don't want to say excuses because I know they're valid, but I know consistency is my biggest issue at the moment.
I'll go a step further. What do you mean you're going to the gym again? You're a mother, you've got children, you shouldn't be going to the gym again. You should be home with your children. Or, women have said to me, Rowie, I can't come to the gym because everybody in my family accuses me of being selfish because I'm looking after myself. Yep. Which means they end up being inconsistent at their class. It's interesting, isn't it? What about, yes, K-Man, who's got an in-depth understanding of the women's side?
That much. They're partners.
Yep.
Yeah.
Please explain, because this is a big open can.
The jealousy factor.
Well, jealousy, you're seeing a male personal trainer, you're losing weight, I'm still fat. I've come across lots of stuff. Either they're with a male trainer, or the female trainer, if they're a male, when they start losing weight and they start looking good, and the other ones at home not looking good, and they're jealousy, and they start to ambush, and they want to keep them fat to make them feel good about being fat, and you come across this all the time as a trainer.
I actually have a student right now who's really struggling with this. She wants to be in great shape, and her husband doesn't want her to lose weight. He wants her. Every time she looks good, he physically and mentally abuses her because she looks good. What do you do with that as an exercise professional?
Blood in bags in trouble.
Body bags in a shovel.
Why is that? Like, why is that? Did she share any reason? Is it feeling of insecurity in the mind of husband?
No, she just said he loved me when I'm fat. Every time I lose weight, he tells me he can't love me if I'm thin.
Does he feel insecure when she gets pregnant?
No, he just he likes
Is
the
she
BBW.
the Oprah rating story?
This is just an you can Google this for yourself. The Oprah Winfrey. I don't know if you've ever do you know who she is? There's about. Okay, so this particular woman has struggled with her weight for a very long time, I would suggest, because she's often been on diet. She's lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. Did you know that when she had a full-time television show in Chicago, that every time she lost weight, her ratings went down?
Yeah.
There's a major professional challenge there, where the actual producer of the show might even say, we don't want you to lose weight because the ratings go down, which means we can sell less advertising stuff. Now, what's been very interesting about this afternoon so far, though, is we've talked a lot about weight. Do women have other challenges besides wanting to lose weight? Or what do we usually focus on? And most of you have heard this story. I went to a health club in New Zealand. I was living in Australia at the time. I walked in for a personal training session. And you can close the door while it's still.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who I walked in with came out from behind the front desk, shook my hand and said, you're obviously here to lose weight.
What is that?
I'll do it again. I talked in with a personal trainer. He came out from behind the front desk at the gym, put his hand out, shook my hand and said, you're obviously here to lose weight. In his defence, I'm sure he didn't have any communication training. How would that make a lot of people feel? I'm using that as a very important example because often at the gym, males and females, we lump women into a group, and women need to lose weight, and women need to lose weight off their hips, their abs and their thighs, and the backs of their arms, and all women are exactly the same. And we get this. After getting people fit and strong, what's the next really important part of being an exercise professional? Each person is an individual. Each person is an individual, and if you make statements like that, imagine if I had just lost 30, 40, 50 kilos. What I really needed was a big cuddle to say, congratulations, you look amazing. And instead somebody says to me, you're obviously here to lose weight. From a psychology point of view, what might that do to somebody's headspace?
Shut down.
Exactly right. So we could probably go no further than this, simply because if you promise that you're going to get people fit, how do you get people fit? Get puffed. So anybody that's in front of you, all you have to say is, what do you love to do that will get you puffed? Isn't that a simple question? We don't have to tell people to run. What if people don't don't like to run. We don't need to tell people to box. What if they don't like to box? Just ask them, what do you love to do? And how long do you need to do it for to get puffed? Phosphate system, 10 seconds. Pretty simple, yes? If we want people to get strong, what do we need to do? Overload. Now, this is the challenge, this word here, and that's why it's up here. And I use it all the time, and I'm very conscious of it. Because what does heavy mean for women?
It's getting bulky.
And that's what we, as exercise professionals, we need to leave here today with a beautiful way to share information with our clients, with the women in our lives. Because men, very rare for a man to say, I don't want to lift weights because I'm going to get big muscles. That is usually a female statement, yes? So that's what we're going to invest some time in this afternoon. I just want to make sure we've covered off all the challenges, because every time I ask that, another great one comes up. Thank you, Chrissy, because that was a really good one. Any others? One's missing that we really need to. We talked a lot about losing weight. What's the other opposite to that?
It's sort of related to gaining weight, but I had a guy a few months ago when I was working, and he said to me, oh, what are you doing on this layover? I said, I'm going to the gym. And he was like, what are you going to do in the gym? And I said, I'm going to lift weights. And he grabbed my arm like this, and he was like, you don't look like someone that would lift weights. And so I just didn't say any things. I thought, okay, he's obviously like down here and he doesn't know what happens to your body when you lift weights. Like, he has no idea. So I didn't even like argue with him, but
how did it make you feel?
it pissed me off.
Did how did it make her feel? Sophisticated, gorgeous. Shani says it pissed me off. Thank you for being honest. Very good. So see, I asked again, and we've got another really good one. Is it possible? Well, I'll wrap that one up. Is it possible that there's a lot of hesitance about being strong for women because of something that somebody said to them? It might have been their mother. Don't lift weights, you'll get big bum. My mum used to say that to me. Don't wear a short skirt because it gives you a big bum. Now, she had a scientific answer to that. Her theorising was that if you wear a short skirt, you get cold, and when you're cold, your body builds up more fat to keep you warm. So you'll get a fat ass. But that's what Bubble said before. If you've heard that every day as a little girl, every day as a little girl, every day as a little girl, if you do weights, you'll get big muscles. If you do weights, you'll get big muscles. What are you thinking?
And one more, I was here to hear something about don't lift weight, it's unsafe when you give birth. So it's like it will be unsafe if you lift something anyway.
Can you see my face?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever heard that before? Mm-hmm. That if you lift heavy weights, you won't be able to give birth.
I do if you have a really strong core, that gives you complications.
So if you want to have 5 children, you might be Irish, and that's your #1 goal, is to have a lot of children. I have met a lot of Irish women who that's their #1 thing, they want to have children, and they've heard their whole life that if I have 4 or 5 or 6 children, it's going to be really hard if I lift heavy weights. What's going to happen? I don't want to go to the gym. So, as exercise professionals, do we have some challenges when it comes to women and getting strong? Yes. Okay.
Particularly is, I think, being able to tell them that you need testosterone to grow muscles.
We're not onto the solutions yet. We're just onto the challenges. We're going to get to the solutions. The only one that's missing here, and obviously it's close to my heart because it was a lot of my clients. The reverse of wanting to lose weight is I don't want to eat food, which is 2 major headspace challenges. So it's either anorexia, where I don't want to eat at all, or bulimia, I'm going to eat everything and I'm going to throw it up. Now, if you aren't living in either of those headspaces, how much energy do you have? Very little. So how possible is it to even try and lift anything, your own body weight included? So it might not be that there's a lack of desire, there's just a lack of an energy. Bubbles?
Yeah, sorry, because I have, so in my group, well, due to COVID, I've kept my numbers like small. But so one of the girls in my group, she suffers from anxiety, and like she battles her own demons. But in the process, I kind of found out, but she didn't know that I knew she had. So with her, it's driving, like because she comes to training, but then my fear is her driving back home. So I told her, if you want to drive home, don't take the highway anymore. Just take the main road because it's stop and go, and it's to just to slow her anxieties down. Because
guess what Bubbles has got going for it? You'll know this after today. If she's come to do an exercise class and she's got puffed, what's pumping through her brain? So how even if you arrive at an exercise session feeling depressed or anxious or upset or angry, and I'll ask you a different question. How many of you have had perhaps a fight with your partner, slammed the door, real cranky, and you're all lit inside, and then you go for a walk or a run and come back? How do you feel afterwards?
Yeah, good. So we had this talk on Wednesday, and she was telling us that my fitness thing that I do, where I have it, is her happy place. Yeah.
Well, there's a solution. We're almost at the solution. Is there anything else we need to, that you've got in your heart and soul that you've had a challenge with when it comes to getting women to want to be strong? Not necessarily lift heavy things, just to want to be strong.
Well, I don't train anyone or anything, but one of the things is like comparison and putting more effort in compared to someone else, or even the same amount, and why am I not getting the same results?
That's a very special thing. Because there's women, how come she's losing weight quicker than me? But this is where it becomes part of the solution. Why is it that when a man and a woman start an exercise program together, the man loses weight, gets fit quicker, gets into great shape quicker than a woman? And that can be very annoying for a woman. How come? Look at my husband, he's been doing the same exercise program as me and he looks amazing. And yes.
We sweat, males sweat faster than females.
We're on to that. Do we have any more challenges that, because I don't want to leave any uncovered?
Sorry, I'm just looking up. Pregnancy.
Yes.
Like training prenatal.
All right, and I'll put it up here, of course, but just, there's no right or wrong. I'm just interested in this market research. Who thinks that you should be strong? This is where the terminology is really important. I'll rephrase. Who thinks you should lift weights when you're pregnant? Who thinks you shouldn't lift weights when you're pregnant?
It depends on what you're doing.
Which particular exercise?
Who's, all right, I'll rephrase the question. Who has heard that you shouldn't lift weights when you're pregnant?
Oh, definitely, you did.
Okay. And that would be one of the things that we have to combat. If we want to keep our women strong, we would have to combat that, particularly if it's coming from a gynecologist or it's coming from a specialist doctor or even her GP. Yeah? That would be a major challenge to deal with. And Bubbles, yes?
Sorry, I've got a female too that's in my group. Because I think, so this is like a problem. It was a challenge for me.
Challenge, it requires a solution.
Yeah.
That's what
so
we're
it was a challenge,
here.
right? She'll come to class, but because I push everyone the same, but every time it gets to her, she thinks that I'm picking on her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm waiting for that to settle. It's very similar to what Wayne said. Is it possible that when you're in a group, this group today, and I have to be really aware of this. How many people in this group are exactly the same? No, not one. Everybody. We've got 11 to 69 years young. We've got males and females. We've got all different beliefs and cultures and life experiences. We're all really different. But your lady thinks that you're picking on her. Your person thought that everybody in the gym was watching them. Yes? So I'm not sure how to exactly put that into words, but could we please be aware that as humans we are very, you ready for this is a big word, very narcissistic. We're very selfish. We believe that the world revolves around us and that everybody's looking at us. One of the reasons why people don't like to do public speaking, why is that? Everyone's looking at me, everyone thinks I'm a dick and I'll make a fool of myself. And we think everybody won't like us. Isn't that interesting? The reverse of that, though, have you ever, we often say this about shows like American Idol or America's Got Talent. When somebody stands on the stage to perform and you're watching, do you want them to fail or do you want them to be good? You always want them to be great, don't you? You want them to be a really good singer. You want them to be be a really good comedian, you want them to be awesome, but the person standing on the stage, what are they thinking?
Don't fail, don't fail, don't fail.
Don't.
Don't trip out.
So I'm going to go back to now, because now we're going to start talking about solutions.
Could I just
Yes?
point out what I think maybe another sort of stumbling block for women with training is just competing interests, children, school, work, all of those sort of issues that make.
I'm going to be very sexist, but if you've ever read anything on the differences between men and women, some people share with me that they think men wrote all these books, by the way. Man's brain. Food. And segmented. So when I'm thinking about food, I'm not thinking about anything else. When I'm thinking about sex, I'm not thinking about anything else. When I'm thinking about sport, I'm not thinking about anything else. I can segment my thoughts. Women's brain.
Wouldn't that be a luxury?
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely right.
It's pretty cool though. And this is, please take note that that came from a bloke. Because a lot of blokes think that they completely understand women's brains, don't they? Bubbles.
Oh, no, sorry. It's not that I understand your brain. It's like, so, as you...
Yes,
the program there,
you get
that's
this.
a man's brain, and that's a lady's, because it's absolutely right. So picture this is how I know. So us men, okay, let's go shopping there, boys. We go straight to the shop, bang, 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 we out. When the lady walks in, oh, one of these, and then you got to buy one thing, and the woman comes back with a whole trolley.
Now, the
Careful, Bubbles, careful.
The challenge that Bubbles and I both have, no, the challenge that Bubbles and I both have right there is what we all do, is we box people into, you're a woman, you're a man, you act a certain way. Yeah. If you are City's age, now 11, where they're going to grow up in a world where there's not even men and women anymore, there's all sorts of different, and whether you believe that or not, or whether you think it's right or wrong, it just is. And that's why the rest of this afternoon is about the solution to this challenge, which is there are no women. There are no men. There's just people. And each individual person is different. Are there women who love to lift heavy things and be strong? Hello?
Yep.
Are there women who are really scared of lifting heavy things? How would we know? And that's now the solution for this afternoon. We have to come to, we as exercise professionals have to have the ultimate solution. And here's why. I spoke yesterday at a primary school to 200 little girls from the age of 8 to 13. Our little girls, and these were girls, they didn't have penises, and the reason I'm differentiating this is that at this stage we still have, they were broken up. They didn't send me the boys yesterday, they just sent me the girls. Because we've got little girls now who on social media are being bombarded with what they should look like, what they should eat, how they should exercise, what makeup they should use. The latest self-made billionaire in the world is a lady who has a makeup line. She's a billionaire and she's created her billions on social media. Did you know yesterday that I had little girls that said to me that if they don't wear that particular brand of makeup, they're not cool at school? They're getting bullied because they don't use that particular brand of makeup. So my role yesterday, and I asked the girls to do two things. Do we have a challenge? And I'm not going to go outside New Zealand because guess what? Most of us won't be going outside New Zealand for a long time either. Do we have a challenge in this beautiful country with health?
Yes.
Do you have any do you think about how big the challenge is? Have you ever thought, as an exercise professional over the last months, 6 months,
Yes.
how big our challenge actually is. I'm going to point, this is my time, I'm always positive, but I'm about to share with you what some people consider to be very negative information. In this country, this team of 5 million, Wayne, you can do the numbers for me straight away. 1/3 of those 5 million people have comorbidities. We're all going to die, by the way, but 1/3 of the people that live in our beautiful country they're going to die way sooner than they're supposed to, or they're only going to be kept alive on drugs. And the reason they die, not even the general practitioner, the specialist in each individual area will be able to tell you what they're going to die of, because there's 3 or 4 things that they could die of. So in this country today, we have 1/3 of the population that has right now coronary heart disease, they have type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, they are depressed and they are obese. And what blows my mind, because I never thought this was possible, they are also osteoporotic, which means their bones are wasting away inside their body. Now, I never thought that was possible, because a person that's 130 kilos, you'd expect that because they're carrying heavy weight around, that they wouldn't get osteoporosis. Keep the osteoporosis in mind. Osteoporosis. For those of you who are unaware of this debilitating disease, please write down the numbers. As exercise professionals, you should know them. It used to be an old woman's disease. Literally, it was called osteoporosis, the old woman's disease. Because the only people that got it were old women and really skinny, inactive old men. It was women over the age of 60. And if you think of an X-ray, if I put an X-ray up of the human body, an osteoporotic X-ray looks like a spider web. The bones are no longer solid, they look like a spider web, yes? So they've got holes in them. Can everybody picture that for me?
Yeah.
That used to be women over the age of 65, and 1 in 3 women got osteoporosis. That number is now women over 45, 1 in 3 women. That's for 45-year-old women. Guess what we have now though? Teenagers and children with osteoporosis. Because osteoporosis is not an old person's disease, osteoporosis is an inactivity disease. We now have teenagers and younger with osteoporosis, because from the day they were born, so we go back 10 years now, those of us who are more mature, 10 years just went by real quick, didn't it? In the last 10 years, the children that were born 10 years ago, what have they been doing with their life? And I'm being general, but what have most kids been doing with their life? I'll rephrase. An old woman's disease, an inactivity disease, is your bones rotting away inside your body because you're not doing anything. When muscles don't pull on bones, bones don't have anything to do. The bone itself says, well, I don't need to be here, there's nothing for me to do, so I'll just waste away. That happened to inactive old people. Guess what we've got now? Inactive, very young people. If you were born 10 years ago, you were born with a phone or a screen or a tablet in your hand. Pretty much, that was your babysitter for a lot of our kids. So now we've got children with osteoporosis. Now I'm starting here for a reason, because we've talked too much this afternoon about weight, and when it's weight we actually don't say it because it's politically incorrect, but it's not weight that we're concerned about, it's fat, isn't it? The stuff that sits between our skin and our muscle is called subcutaneous wobbly fat. But no one likes to, even as I say it, it's uncomfortable, isn't it? No, we don't say fat, it's a larger no, it's a substance called fat. But we're going to start on the inside. Because there's only one way to prevent and cure osteoporosis. It used to be a woman's disease. Talk about race, sexist or discrimination. It was only ever a woman's disease. Why?
So we had children and they take...
No, it wasn't children. Sorry.
We're at home and a weekend.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's exactly, no. It's exactly why we're here this afternoon. It's exactly, why was osteoporosis a woman's disease?
They were not exercising.
That's why they do lift heavy.
They at home. Menopause.
It's interesting because I'll take this stuff for granted, but I've asked the question, and obviously, do you want the answer to this question?
Yeah.
So, resistance training builds bone density, and so women traditionally didn't do any of that.
Not only didn't do resistance training or strength training, but it was a cultural thing for women not to lift anything.
Yeah.
It was bad manners for a woman to lift her own suitcase. If Wayne sees a woman carrying something, guess what he will do? So if we were lifting anything, a man would come along and say, "Don't do that, I'll lift that for you." So we had a whole generation of women who were brought up in an era where lifting anything was just...
Was unknown.
Well, men lifted it for you. If you couldn't open the jar, what did you do? Martin, could you please open this for me? I need this moved. Could you please move this for me? Now, farming women of New Zealand, very low osteoporosis. Isn't that interesting? Because what do farming women do? They lift things still. And if you can't lift it, you might say to your husband, "Can you help me with this?" But he's not going to say, "I'll carry it for you." He's more likely to say, "All right, we'll lift it together." So, but now we have a disease, and think about how debilitating this disease is. Your bones are so thin that you can see through them.
So as a rule, it's not gender specific.
No, and that's exactly what we're talking about now. It's not gender specific at all. It's just the question was asked, why is it that women get osteoporosis and men tend not to get osteoporosis? The only blokes that got osteoporosis were weak, old men. The same reason that women get osteoporosis, for exactly the same reason that children now get osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is an inactivity disease.
Also, the risk for women increase after menopause because you don't have testosterone and the reduction in estrogen as well. So that's why there's also a greater percentage.
Which is the hormonal thing, which we're just about to touch on. So, if we start with our bones, and this is, I'll go back to how debilitating it is, we often think of old women who break an ankle or break a neck of femur because they have a fall. Yes? One of the big challenges, and I'll just use New Zealand, is that women have a fall. Do you know it's the other way around? Our bones become so weak that they break inside our body, and that causes us to fall. If your neck of femur breaks, because it's, and remember, it's only if you think of your Herbie Preble, it's just a small bone there, that connection in there. When that neck of femur breaks, you're going to fall over, aren't you? Anybody want to stop that?
Yeah.
Dempsey, you want your mum to not get osteoporosis?
Of course.
As women, is there one woman in this room that wants to get osteoporosis?
No.
So I'm going to start up here with the framework of the body. How do I stop osteoporosis? I'm going to tell you a story. Some of you have heard, some of you have not. Some of you have met my mother, some of you have not. My mother was 74 years of age. She had advanced osteoporosis. The doctor's orthopaedics description was Mrs. Cesarin has advanced osteoporosis, meaning Mrs. Cesarin, you have to go into a walking frame and then into a wheelchair because your neck of femur will break and you will fall over. And the worst statistic from the medical profession is within 12 months, women with advanced osteoporosis diagnosis are dead. And they don't die of osteoporosis. They either die physically because they just can't move around anymore, or they're so depressed that they may as well be dead because they can't move around anymore. That was my mother at 74.
My mother just been diagnosed with
That's getting strong. So, I'm my mother's daughter with the string up my mum, so I can't make it any different. My gorgeous husband, master's degree in exercise science, says to his mother-in-law, "You're not going in a frame." The doctor had already ordered the walking frame, you know those frames with the wheels on? The orthopaedic surgeon had already ordered it for her. She had to walk around in a walking frame. And Mike came in and just said, "No, Mutti is like mummy in German. No, Mutti, no
She had a walking
frame."
stick at the time.
Yeah, she did.
And took it off from her. She wasn't using that.
She came out of the doctor's surgery with a walking stick. We were in our apartment on the Gold Coast, and the first thing that came and got my mother to do was to stand on one leg. Everybody stand up and do this because I want you to feel it. And I've got high heel shoes on, so it's really interesting. Just stand on one leg. And then once you've got your balance, don't move around. Just keep your body perfectly still. Now what I'd like you to focus on is what does your body actually have to do to hold you on one leg still? What's working?
The nervous system.
Everything's working, isn't it? Just to hold you there. And try it with high heel shoes on. Now, what the challenge is the stabilizer muscles. The next thing, what I would like you to do is put both feet down on the ground, and what I want you to do is jump as if you're going to fall. So watch me first. You're going to jump, and then pretend you're going to fall. So jump up and think you're going to fall. Jump up and think you're going to fall. Jump up and think you're going to fall. What has to happen to stop you from falling? Yes, what braces? Every muscle in your body has to brace to stop you from falling. But those of you who are now have advanced anatomy education, there's different kinds of muscle fibers. Which are the muscle fibers that stop you from falling? Slow or fast? What do old people do? What are our kids not doing anymore? Ready? Go. 11, go. 10, go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Beautiful. When you sprint, what are you using? Fast twitch or slow twitch? What do old people stop doing? Somebody said, one of my kids yesterday said the best exercise to do is walking. Guess what the worst exercise you can possibly do for anybody in your life to keep them fit and strong? Walking. Unless the person is so overweight and so unfit that if they go for a walk they get puffed. Then it's great. But the only way to get people fit and strong is to get puffed and to overload. Yes?
Yeah.
So, not only do I have to get all of my stabilising muscles working, every muscle in my body, but I have to reactivate the fast twitch muscle fibers because they're the ones that stop me from falling. So what if I have somebody with osteoporosis, or to prevent osteoporosis, what do I have to do? Get people puffed and overloaded. Have a seat. Question. Who wants to get osteoporosis? Who wants anybody in their family to get osteoporosis?
Nobody.
Thank you, Bubbles. So as exercise professionals, if we don't want that for ourselves, and we don't want that for our kids, which are now getting osteoporosis, we don't want that for the women in our lives, what is the only thing that we can do to stop osteoporosis? People have to get fit and strong. People who are fit and strong don't get osteoporosis. Turn to the person next to you and say that with passion and enthusiasm. People who are fit and strong don't get osteoporosis. And it's not people who are fit. It's not the fitness. You have to have the overload on the muscles, because when you overload the muscles, what do the muscles do to the bones? And at all the attachment points, the pulling of the muscle creates stronger bones. Does that excite the hell out of anybody? Now, which bones would you like to let get weak? You sure? We did talk about this, didn't we? When we talked about the gym, some women just want to do upper body, some women just want to do lower body. Remember this one, target? So you just want to be half osteoporotic and not the other half. How many muscles do we need to use to make sure that our muscles are pulling on our bones so we don't get osteoporosis? How many? 600 of them. Now let's go to the hormonal system. Because if I say this in a room of women, how are your hormones? This was my favourite comment. Rowie, my whores are moaning. MC just came in at all. Is it possible, and I'm being very general so I have to be very careful, but is it possible that women seem to have more challenges with their hormones?
Yes.
And let's look at why that happens. What happens at teenager when we get a period, what happens to our hormones? What happens to our hormonal system? It's only one word. It just changes, yes. When I have a baby, what happens to my hormonal system? It changes. When I go through menopause, what happens to my hormonal system? It changes. Now notice, and again, very general, but Shayla, you're 21 and a bit.
Yeah.
And when we talked about menopause, what was the word that came out of your mouth? Menopause changes what? What was the word? Bad. Bad. Do we often, we label these hormonal changes with women, we label them as bad, don't we? Oh, you're going to get a period, you're going to get a sore tummy, you're going to feel bloated, you're going to feel terrible, it's going to be awful. Because the other thing that produces great, strong bones is obviously impact. The more you impact your bones, the stronger they get. So, at those points in our life, teenager, pregnancy, menopause, we have hormonal changes. When do men have hormonal changes? Puberty, and after that? It's been suggested that after that it's just blokes being hormonal.
Even worse.
Human growth hormone testosterone, really a major challenge as you get older because you don't want to lose them, do you? If I'm lifting heavy, if I'm sprinting, if I'm firing, and this is the biggest reason for those of you who are new into the program. If I break my body up into little pieces, so work little muscles at a time, what's the hormonal response of a small exercise compared to the hormonal response of a big exercise? What's the difference? If I use one muscle at a time, what's the hormonal response? Human growth hormone and testosterone. Versus I use as many muscles at once. What's the hormonal response?
You produce more.
Human growth hormone and testosterone. Which are the strength drugs and the big drugs. So if I want to get bigger, stronger muscles, what do I need to do? Dance. I need to do big exercises. I need to use as many muscles as I possibly can at one time. What do I need to do to them? Overload. So this is our first significant, that's what I'm looking for, solution. Could we please stop saying lifting heavy and strength training? As exercise professionals, could we think about what this actually means? If I have a person in front of me, a child or a 15-year-old or a 50-year-old or a 105-year-old, I don't know how strong they are. Would that be fair? I might assume that a bloke that's 20 should be able to lift a certain weight. But going back to the number one rule after getting people fit and strong, everybody is a individual. So if I have a young guy with me and I want him to overload, how about I start on the lightest weight possible? You might be able to lift 20 kilos or 6 plates, but what if he can't? And you give him 6 plates to lift, how's he going to feel? If I get him to lift 1 plate and say, hey, that's really easy, let's put another one on. That's still really easy, you legend, let's do another one. We do more of what we are praised for and more of what we can do. We don't want to do any of what we can't do. It's the same with sprinting. If you tell somebody to get onto the treadmill and run for 30 minutes, first of all, how fast do they start? For most people, how long is 30 minutes? For a 130 kilogram person in South Auckland who hasn't exercised ever, how long is 30 minutes? Bubbles?
Years. It's a New York marathon.
But this afternoon, to pump happy drugs into your brain so you feel good, how long did we exercise for?
10 seconds.
The closest we stay to zero, the harder the effort we can put in, the fitter we can become, because that's called overload. Yeah? So if we can get everybody that's in front of us to overload their muscles and their bones, their heart and their lungs, will they get fit and strong? From a hormonal response, from the blokes, that's easy. You're going to produce more testosterone, you're going to produce more human growth hormone, you're going to get bigger and you're going to get stronger. How good's that? Now we're coming to weight. How many women in the room have a set of testicles? Isn't that a personal question? There was a reason I asked the question, how many women in the room have a set of testicles? I'm accused of it on a regular basis, but I don't have any. So, where is testosterone produced?
In the balls.
In the testicles. We produce a tiny amount, but nowhere near as those two big things that hang in between the bloke's legs. That's where the major amount of testosterone is produced. Isn't that exciting for blokes? Guess what it isn't exciting for? Osteoporosis. Because as we get older, it reduces even further. So what happens to our bone mineral density after menopause? I'm going to ask the question again. Who wants to get osteoporosis? I don't want anyone in my family to get it. I have to get people to overload. But as soon as I talk to women about strength training and lifting heavy, for most women. But if I ask the question, do you want to be strong? Do you want to have strong bones so that you don't get osteoporosis? Would that be a great place to start? So on your notes, if you just start with what I'm doing here, because what we usually do, and please correct me if I'm wrong, remember everything that you hear this afternoon, if you don't agree with it, you've got to put your hand up straight away and say, Rowie, I don't agree with you. Is it possible that we as exercise professionals spend a lot of time telling people how to lose weight? If somebody says to you, and man or woman, how do I lose weight? What do most exercise professionals, what's the next word that comes out of their mouth? Well, exactly, Bubbles. And what always comes after well? Whole heap of information. Well, let me tell you. We know that we've got to get people fit. We know that we've got to get them strong. But what's the next thing we have to do?
Find out about them.
We have to find out about them as an individual person. And until we find out about them, there's nothing we can do because we don't know what we can give. So, I'm going to give us an idea, an order of how to present this information. But I don't want us to present information. I want us to ask a whole pile of questions about that individual person. And then find out whether or not we actually have to give any information. Because what will happen is this normally. A woman will say to you, I don't want to lift weights, I'm going to get big muscles. And you, us as exercise professionals, go, oh no you won't, and here's why. Yes or no?
Yeah.
We don't know even why she asked us the question or why she made that statement. We just defend our knowledge and we go straight into defence mode. Could we stop that, please? A woman says, you know, I want to do weight training. You say, you should come to the gym and do weight. She says, no, I want to do weight training, I'm going to get big muscles. And we go, yes, but you should do weight training because here's all the reasons why. So we're going to leave this, remind me that this is here, because we're going to talk about bones, we're going to talk about muscles, and we're going to talk about fat, and then we're going to talk about quality of life, which overload for muscles and bones is going to help with all of it. But if I deliver that information to you now, you'll want to deliver that information to people that you talk to. And you will, you'll race home and you'll go to all the women in your life. Guess what? You have to do strength training because. And have you ever had that experience where somebody in your life has looked at you and gone, get stuffed? You've been to a workshop. I'm not interested. I don't want to do anything. What I want us to do now is think about the right questions to ask. So first of all, do we ask questions of people who want our help or need it? I'll rephrase my question. Do the people who smoke need to stop smoking? Yes. Do they need to? Yes. If you go up to somebody who's smoking and you say, you should stop smoking, it's bad for you, what might happen?
Get out of here.
Because I'll rephrase. Have you ever been eating something and you thought to yourself, oh, this isn't bad food? That's a whole topic for another time. Somebody comes along and says to you, you shouldn't be eating that, it's bad for you. And what would you like to say back to them? Is that you? Awesome. Exactly. I'll rephrase my question. If somebody in your family comes to you and says, I really need to stop smoking, could you please help me? Do we have a different conversation? If you go up to somebody that's overweight and say, you should stop eating that, it's bad for you and you need to lose weight. You like this one? You're obviously here to lose weight. And today's topic, if you go up to them and say, you really need to do strength training, otherwise you're going to get osteoporosis and you're going to be overweight for the rest of your life, you're going to have challenges with your hormones and you're going to have poor quality of life, you should do strength training. It might work. Versus a woman comes to you and she says, I've just been diagnosed with the possibility of getting osteoporosis. I've got a really slow metabolism, I'm really struggling with my weight and I really want your help. Could you please help me? Is that a different conversation? I'll rephrase. How many hours are there in a day?
20.
But it's everything, that's pretty much the only thing everyone in this room has in common. We only have 24 hours. And if you, and I'll say this openly, if you waste a lot of time running around telling people what to do, it could be a waste of time. You only have a certain number of hours that you can help people. Would it be a great idea to invest that time with people that actually want your help and you can help them? A little bit more of this afternoon though is how to put people in a position where they may want your help. So that's what we're going to chat about. Okay, you ready? So, help people who want our help. And how would we know that?
As they come to you.
They've asked for it. If we were talking about marketing, it would be to point out in your marketing that if you need my help versus you want my help. So if you're out there and you want help with this particular challenge, I'm here to help you. That's what marketing is. So this is the problem, this is the solution, and this is why I can provide you with the solution. Easy? Don't ever get confused by marketing, it's easy. So if your target market are women who want to be healthy, fit, strong, powerful, passionate, positive women, and you want them to contact you because they want your help, does that sound good? What do we need to do next? I'll give you a clue. I'll give you a clue. Because what's going to happen is this beautiful woman, individual woman, is going to come to you and she's going to say, I want your help. Please help me to lose weight. And you're going to say, as Bubbles beautifully did, well, let me tell you how. Because we care and we've got the information. We want to deliver the information. Is it possible, just possible, that we don't have enough information about this individual person yet? If somebody says to you, please can you help me, would it be a great question to ask, what help do you want? Now, I'm at risk here, because there's a few people in this room that even as I've said that, have gone, oh, I know this already. What's the biggest barrier to learning? I know this already. I'm going to pre-frame what I'm about to share with you with my most deepest disappointment in my profession. And I've been doing this for over 30 years. You ready? My profession, your profession, doesn't do what I'm about to share with you. And I think that because we don't do it, is the reason why we now have a country that is 1/3 sick. Because if for the last 30 years we as exercise professionals had been doing what I'm about to share with you, I believe that we would have people who actually were inspired to be fit and strong, not scared to death of it. I believe that we would have children who want to be strong, not have osteoporosis at 12 years of age. So have I pre-framed that strongly enough to say this is pretty important? Those of you that are already training people, you already have clients, I'm challenging you this afternoon that if you don't know the answers to these questions about every single one of your clients, you need to go and have another chat with your client and find it all out. Would that be fair? All right, it won't take long. We have to ask, what exactly do you want? You've told me that you want it, but what exactly is it that you want? And here's what most women will say. I want to lose weight, yes or no? So what exactly is it that you want? And I didn't use my example with Annie for some random reason. Even if you don't ask the question, even if you're not as stupid as that man to say you're obviously here to lose weight, is it possible that a lot of women walk into a fitness facility or into a chat with an exercise professional and their mindset is already, she's a woman, she's going to want to lose weight, and she's going to want to lose weight off her ass? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. And I'm asking you today from my heart to yours that this woman may not have that going on. She might be, look, Rowie, it's my wedding ring. I can't wear it anymore because it's too tight on my fingers. I need to lose weight off my fingers. I've had to go up 2 shoe sizes because I've got fat feet.
I always wanted a ghetto booty.
Get a?
I wanted a ghetto booty. Like a ghetto booty, like a nice
A ghetto booty?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Because I've got a flat pancake. I always wanted a ghetto booty so I could wear one of those high-waisted skirts and be like, quarter off that.
MC, I love you. What you did this afternoon is being major. See, I didn't even know what that was until we got the explanation. That's MC's goal. Yeah. Everybody's unique and different. They've got a different goal. Should we find out what it is? Now, the next bit, really important. As an exercise professional, pick any goal that any person has. Can you help them achieve it? How confident do you need to be with that? When somebody says to you, I want to have a ghetto booty, what do you need to say?
You've come to the right place.
We're going to do that for you. And you have to be confident in that information. And I don't care which goal you pick. Let's say I need to lose 200 kilos. Are there people that have lost 200 kilos? Yep. Yes. Can we do that for you? Yes. But more importantly, after we've done that for you, what's the next thing you want to do?
Why?
No. Sorry, Jane. What I want here is our long-term goals. Because if you want to help somebody long-term, our profession is so focused on 12-week challenge, get into your jeans, look good in a photo. I want this person from this age, 11, to 111 when they die peacefully in their sleep, to be healthy, fit and strong, yes or no?
Yes.
And we seem to focus in our profession on this short-term lose weight.
Yeah.
And then what usually happens? They put it back on again. And what does that do to your psyche, Irina? Imagine the psychology of that. Lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. That's horrible.
Yeah, I think that it doesn't matter anymore. I guess it's better to be like this.
Which is exactly what Bubbles was saying, just get comfortable with it. I want our 11 years old, fit, healthy kids to never have to lose weight because they never put it on. And our people that need to lose weight because it's affecting their health, and that's the only reason to lose weight, isn't it? Because it's affecting your health. We tend to get a little bit, as exercise professionals, focused on, oh, you need to lose weight because you're fat. Even if we don't say that, we're a little bit judgmental, our profession, aren't we? Because it's all about abs and ripped abdominals. If somebody's got a great resting heart rate, great blood sugar levels, great blood pressure, healthy blood pressure range, they can sprint on the spot, are they healthy? Just say yes, Robbie. Now, I'm arguing from the extreme because there's very few people like that, but is it possible? But if we had somebody like that, they don't have to lose weight if they don't want to because it's not affecting their health. Can you see the differentiation there? Yep. Really important. Because I've got too much of this going on. Your mummy's here to lose weight, which I hear as I'm really fat, I need to lose weight. Versus, let's ask, what do you want? Now, what do you want next? Because we're going to do that too. And then when and you've all heard me share this, is my favourite. I did this with a kid yesterday. fabulous at 40, fantastic at 50, sexy at 60, sensational at 70, awesome at 80, never give up at 90, and happy and healthy at 100 plus. These little girls go, is 100 older than 20, miss? Because when you're 8 years of age, how old is 20? Really old. But do you want your grandma and your great-grandma to be fit and strong? Do you want to be the great-grandma and great-grandpa that can play with your great-grandkids? So please focus here, because I think we forget this. What do you want now? Yes, I can do that for you. Just nod your head. Go, go. Yes, I can do that for you. Yes. What do you want next? Do you know what's really cool about that? Usually the next, and I'm coming from a woman's point of view and predominantly training women, the next one isn't about the body anymore. It's about, I'm going to quit my lousy, stinking rotten job, or I'm going to get rid of my horrible husband, or I'm going to travel the world, or I'm going to buy new clothes. Because if I can get this body into great shape, I'm a machine. So the second bit's even more exciting than the first one. If we get you into the great shape that you want to get into, what do you want to do next? I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to divorce my husband, I'm going to travel the world and have a great life. That's what we do for people. Number 3, long term, what do you want to do? See, we forget that this bit here has 3 parts. Yes, we can do the immediate. Yes, we're going to do the next bit, and yes, we're going to make sure that you never have to lose weight again. You never are going to be unwell again. Is that exciting? Just say yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So, thank you, Dave. Next. Why do you want to do this? Whatever it is that this individual person wants to do, why? Why is this really important to you? Do you know how many exercise professionals have never asked that question? And if you are an exercise professional and you don't know the whys of your clients, please go back and find out. Everybody's got a different why. And if we're talking specifically about women who want to lose weight off their hips, their thighs and the backs of their arms, their why is always different, if you bother to ask. It could be that I'm so anxious I can't drive my car home. It could be that my husband just left me for a younger woman and I want to kill him. That was a quote of one of my clients. I just want to be strong enough to kill him. It could be that she's had a horrible traumatic experience when she was a child and she put on weight so she could hide behind herself her whole life. I don't know, and neither do you, and if you don't ask, you'll never find out. Please ask. If you don't know at least 3 reasons why somebody wants to be here with you as an exercise professional, I think you're being irresponsible. I can't put it any, from my heart to yours, I can't put it any better than that. You have to find out why this is important. And I'm talking about at least 3. But if you can get 33, is that not better? And if this person takes an hour to tell you all the reasons why they want to achieve this particular goal, that's great. Because the more somebody's talking, what does that mean?
They trust you.
They trust you. And you know what? Most people that want your help, really want your help, they have been shat on their whole life. And they're expecting that you're going to shit on them too, I promise. They think you're just another personal trainer, another gym instructor, just another person that they've... And hopefully maybe this one will work, but they don't really think that that's the case. But you're not going to be that person, are you? Because if you actually take the time to find out exactly what they want now, what they want next, and what they want in the future, if you actually find out why they want to achieve all of their goals.
There's a really cool quote by Frederick Nietzsche.
Yes.
Person who knows their why, I actually had this Tony Robbins, but it's actually Frederick Nietzsche. Person who knows their why can bear it anyhow.
If you know your why, you can bear anyhow.
And sometimes people don't know actual reasons, so you need to dig deeper because...
Thank you. Again, Irina, psychology, thank you for being here. Can you say that again, please? It's so important.
Sometimes people don't know actual reasons. Sometimes they think that I just want to look great, but why? Why? What's there?
And why for me that I appreciate you saying that so much is a lot of my maths exercise professionals, and I'm being general, but usually the blokes, will say, yeah, I asked her and she didn't have a why. She just said she just wanted to look good. That's not the answer. The answer is you didn't ask enough questions. And I'll give you the male experience that changed my life on that. It was a male psychiatrist, so not even a psychologist. And he said to my client, I was in the room with her because she asked me to come, he said, there's an hour, it was an hourglass. And he said, start talking. He said that to my female client. And I went, wow, that's an interesting communication technique. And she started waffling. Oh, it's a nice day today. And she picked up a photo of his family that he had on his desk. She said, I've got a lovely family. He said, shut up. I asked you a question. You have an hour. Start talking. And she said, oh, well, oh, you're a nice guy. Tell me about you. And he said, I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about you. Start talking. There was another smaller hourglass, and at the end of the hour, she was still talking. She hadn't stopped talking for a whole hour. Guess what he said in that hour? Nothing. He didn't say anything. He just nodded his head. You've heard this before from me? Lean forward, open body language, actively listen. He did that for 1 hour. And then he said, do you want another? And it was like 20 minutes. She said, yes, please. I'm a really fast learner when I get taught. Up until that day when my client said to me, how are you? I would say, how are you? And she'd go, good, how are you? And I thought she was interested in me. So I'd say, I'm great, and I'd start talking. It took a strong person to say, shut up and start talking. You're the one with the challenge. You need to do the talking, not me. And at the car park afterwards, there was a psychiatrist in Brisbane, I said to her, are you going back? I still hadn't quite got what was going on. She said, I'm coming back every week. And then it clicked into my brain, she just needs somebody to talk to. Not pass judgment, not give information. She just needed somebody to talk to. Guess what kind of exercise professional I became from that day? Shut up and listen. And when you do this, and you lean forward, maintain eye contact, open body language, and actively listen, be super surprised how much people want to talk. Poor old Prabble, because blokes are not good at this, usually. Because they just want you to get the information out so they can help you. Come on, talk to me and I'll give you the right information and I'll be able to help you. Prabble shared with me his online consultation with one of his clients in India, a female. And he asked the questions, and what did she keep doing?
Babbling, and asking more and more, and she's again babbling, and I'm tolerating and listening, That's okay, that's nice.
The reason this is really important, I'm going to nail you down here. I'm absolutely going to nail you. There are some people who that doesn't matter. That's exactly what happened with the male psychiatrist and why I gave you the story. Because some people it actually doesn't matter. They just want, they don't care if you don't care. They're just happy that you're listening. Which is why people pay $180 to go to the psychiatrist. Because that person has to sit and listen because I'm paying you to shut up and listen. Can you imagine if you combine somebody that actually cared and was genuinely listening? Do you think you'll ever lose a client? Never. When your client knows that you're there for the right reason, you actually care about them and you want to listen, and they don't have to go to a psychiatrist and pay for it. Okay. So at least 3 whys. Now, this one, there's no more powerful. They're all very powerful questions, but most people have no understanding of why this one is so powerful. This is the visual question. I'm going to draw some little eyes here. Do we think in words or pictures? You all know that. If I say, well, let me pick one. Movie star. Not one person in this room, in your brain, came M-O-V-I-E-S-T-A-R. Not anybody. What came into your brain was either the picture of a movie star that you like, male or female, or the start of a movie or a movie series or something to do with what's inside your head when I say movie star. Yeah? But it wasn't words, was it?
Yep.
It was a picture. How about this? Teddy bear. Nobody in their brain saw T-E-D-D-Y-B-E-A-R. Some saw brown bears, white bears, pink bears, blue bears with ribbons, but we all saw a teddy bear, didn't we? Our goals, and we all hear constantly, write down your goals, write down your goals, write down your goals. It's not the writing down of the goals that's the most powerful, it's the seeing of the goal that's the really important thing. You have to be able to see it. If a person wants to get a result from you, do they have to be able to see it? If they can't see it, are they likely to achieve it? Can I promise you, the number one reason I believe that people don't achieve their health and fitness goals is we as exercise professionals don't provide them with a picture for them to, because they don't know that they can lose weight. Somebody that's got to lose 60 kilos doesn't know that they can. They've never done it before. They don't know. Somebody that's never run a marathon before doesn't know they can run a marathon. They haven't done it before. But if we can provide a picture and they keep seeing that picture, is it more likely that it will start, well, maybe, and they start to, their DNA starts to twist a little if they can see the picture. It's the number one mistake we make as exercise professionals and particularly as personal exercise coaches, because we get people, we ask them their goal, and then we take them to train them, and we go, 10 push-ups, go, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Versus, Shayla, it's the Las Vegas Marathon. We're at 37 kilometres. We've got 30, we're at 38, we're at 39. We've only got 3 kilometres to go. You're about to run under the sign that says you are a marathon runner in Las Vegas, Nevada, while she's doing her push-ups. Do you think she might do some more push-ups? Yeah. For no other reason than that she's no longer on the floor doing push-ups. Where is she now? She's in Vegas. She can see it. And the only reason I know that that's Shayla's goal is because I asked. And she told me, and now we can do it together. And she's got her pink shoes, or her red shoes on. It was pink, but now I want to have red shoes. And I've got my blue shorts and my blue hat. I'm going to run under the line. And we've done it! You're a marathon runner! Much more likely to do her set of chin-ups or push-ups or squats than if I stand back here and go 10, 9, 8. And isn't that what most personal trainers, they call themselves personal trainers, they don't even know what their client's goal is, they don't even know why the client wants to achieve the goal, and they certainly haven't created a picture. Here's the powerful picture. I live in a world now, you live in a world now, where you can actually put your client in the picture. You can actually Photoshop them into the picture, yes or no?
Yes.
When you train somebody, should they be able to see themselves achieving the goal? And if you're taking them through the process, it's the last quarter of the grand final. It's an even score, it's 16 all. We've got 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go. You've got the ball. You're the one that's going to score the try. How fast are you going to run? Do you think a rugby league player may do their chin-ups a bit harder at that point? Can you see, and I pre-framed this at the start, exercise people, fitness trainers, personal trainers, don't do this. Somebody says, how do I lose weight? And they go, well, let me tell you. And that's it. They don't know any of this. And we're still only at the where. At least 3 very strong visuals. Where is it? And if it is and we're talking about women this afternoon, if it is a woman and she does want to lose weight of her hips, her thighs, and the back of her arms, should you know that? Here's what most of you will say though, because you're so technologically advanced, trained in anatomy and physiology. You're going to say, you can't spot reduce. You see, I'm trying not to be sarcastic. If I find a great exercise program for a woman that she can stick to and she feels really good about, and she keeps doing it, will she lose weight off her hips, her thighs and her butt? Of course she will. Should I tell her at this stage, no, you can't spot reduce? Will that create a great relationship? And technically, no. If I play piano, it doesn't mean I'm going to have skinny fingers. And technically, no, if I do neck crunches, I'm not going to have a skinny neck. But if I get fit and strong, what will happen to all the fat on my body? Will it be less or more? More or less? Less, less, less. Isn't that exciting? Okay, when? There's 3 whens. You are training people already. Do you know the 3 whens? The exact date, the exact day, and the exact time. Olympic athletes do this. That's why, and they've got 4 years to have to stay motivated. It's the only way they do this. Because if they're going to the Olympic Games, if you are aware at all of athletes and mental health at the moment, they are screwed up. Because guess what they haven't got? Really, if you're a coach right now, it's the toughest time in the history of strength and conditioning coaching. Because even in the Second World War, we still had Olympic Games. But at the moment, we don't know. And the coaches are really struggling to keep their athletes focused because they don't have a win. And we wonder why, as exercise professionals, our clients struggle to achieve their goals because we don't give them the when. And Irina said it beautifully. If they don't have one, we have to create one for them. And if you don't have a diary in front of you when you're training your client, I have to ask why. Because when they tell you the exact date, the exact day, and the exact time, what's going to go in your diary immediately? I get myself into trouble for this, and I'm just going to share you, this is just a personal thing. When you share your goals with me, I have my diary in front of me. And now I'm going to ask you a very personal question. Because I believe that if I'm focused on your goal, and you're focused on your goal, it's more likely to happen. Would that be fair? Because I'm on your team. But I have to be really careful because I have lots of students where I've called 2 weeks before, 4 weeks before, 6 weeks before the goal that you've shared with me, and you either don't answer the phone or when you do, when we do chat, it's a really awkward conversation because it's a person that feels like they need to make an excuse or a justification for not achieving that goal on that day, date and time. As an exercise professional, we need a day, date and time. But our clients also need to know, based on what they want, that we will do that for them. And this is it. I don't think even Shayla and Martin will be aware of this yet on this particular series of questions. We have to ask the question, how serious are you about this day, date and time?
I just had a question. A lot of the fitness marketing I've seen recently, there always seems to be 3 months. Is there a reason for that? Is that to get people to promote, or is it so how long it takes to get things working?
No, Andre, that's exactly what today's about. And poor old trouble, I nail him on this all the time, because he asks me about numbers all the time. There are no numbers. I would ask the question, why is it 3 months? Why? For some people it might be 2 months, for some people it might be 7 months. It depends on their goal. Yeah. Some people did the max program in 3 months and some people take 10 years. Please, if you anything again from today, from travel, you and I have done this many times now, get rid of the numbers. There's no specific numbers. The only numbers we can focus on are the phosphate system, the lactate system, the aerobic system have a time frame. After that, the numbers are different for everybody. So great question, and I would ask the same question, why are you focusing on 3 months? A lot of, that's the body challenge number usually, is a 12-week challenge. Why? Are there people that could do it in 6? Are there people that would take 12? It just depends. So great question. So, we need a when. For those of you that are already training people, if you don't have an exact day, date and time, please go back with your client, ask them the questions again and make sure that that's in your diary.
If someone just to improve their general fitness, how can you encourage them to set a goal like that? I'm a little confused, sorry.
So, this question, which is what's the exact day, date and time, and I'm the broadest one for this. If you train me, this is the broadest, because for me it's my 120th birthday. because I want to be healthy, fit and strong for the rest of my life. So the people in this room that have trained me, when I'm doing chin-ups, they're actually saying that to me. Rowie, you're looking in the mirror, you're 120, it's your birthday, the 3rd of May, the exact year of my 120th birthday. Look in the mirror, how do you feel? That's as far as it goes. You have to find one, which is what I really said, you have to dig to find one. And if the person says, oh no, I just want a general fitness. Okay, so what's the general fitness for? Is it, let's pick your next birthday. So when's your next birthday? What's the day of your next birthday? What time will you be going out to dinner? And how do you want to feel at that particular day and time? See, I found one specifically. The person says, no, well actually it's not my birthday. We've got a family reunion at Christmas. Perfect. What's the date of the family reunion? Gotta dig, gotta dig, gotta dig, gotta dig.
One more question. What if the goal is not realistic or unhealthy? Like some people want to lose weight like really fast.
No, great question again. Brilliant. Here's what most people will say. Yes, today.
I didn't quite catch the question.
About
unrealistic goals. So somebody says, I've got 60 kilos to lose and I want to lose it by next week.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Guess what we all want to do now? As exercise professionals,
they cannot.
Exactly right. We now want to justify why we don't think that they can. Do we want the person to train with us, get results, get fit, get strong? Yes. Is this the time to say no?
No.
I'll give you another story.
Yes.
How many of you have experienced this? Somebody's come either to your gym fitness facility, or you know somebody, and when they exercise, they wear long tracksuit pants and a long sleeve and a hat and a hide underneath it. Yeah? And you get them started and they enjoy it, they can do it. So they're on an exercise program they can actually do. So they start pumping happy drugs with their brain. The next time you see them, they're wearing a long sleeve shirt with the hoodies off. They're still wearing their tracksuit pants. The next time you see them, next week, they're wearing a t-shirt and tracky pants. A week later, they're wearing a singlet and bike pants. Have they lost 60 kilos in 4 weeks? So the whens, we have to dig for it. Does that make sense? But what I asked you guys before is when you've got a win, you have to ask how serious they are about that win. Because you don't want to be stuck like me, and I'm talking to you as my students now, where you give me a win. I want to open my studio on this day, date, and time. And then you feel like I'm hassling you, giving you a hard time when I talk to you about that day, date, and time. The reverse of that is I'm never going to judge you on that day, date, and time, because I'm also aware that it's not what we do on that exact day, it's that we do it. And if you need help to do it, if I can help you do it, that's what I'm here for. It's not about, you have to do it by this day, date, and time, otherwise I give up on you, you loser. That's not what this is about. But an elite athlete, are they more likely to focus on their event when they know the exact day, date, and time? I just say yes, because that's what's happened to our Olympians right now. If you can get your clients to pick an exact day, date, and time when they're training, it goes like this. November, I think, is the Las Vegas Marathon. November, 11, 7 o'clock in the morning, you're just about to start. Look down at your shoes, Shayla. Are they red? You are just about to run 42.2 kilometres. In 5 hours' time, you will be a marathon runner. How does that make you feel? Guess what? It's at 40 kilometres. You've only got 2.2 kilometres to go. How do you feel? Look down at your shoes. They've just taken you 42 kilometres. How do you feel? Shayla, you've got 200 metres to go! Shayla, you've just run under the sign on, it's Las Vegas. It is now 12 o'clock. How do you feel? You are a marathon runner in the exact time that you wanted to do it. How do you feel? And we're just in the gym doing chin-ups.
When asking the when question, would that be the time to block it down into the achievable blocks to keep the motivation going, rather than having just the end goal?
And that's a really interesting question again, and could it be different for everybody? Because an Olympian, what do they have to do? 4 years between events. So they actually have to stay focused for 4 years. Now, would you break that down into our next training session? You're going to be able to do this, but ultimately it's still the big goal. ask the question then, and this is a really good conversation. Ask the client, do you want to focus on the next training session, or do you want to focus on the Olympic Games? Do you want to focus on the next training run for the marathon, or do you want to focus on the actual day of the marathon? So that when you're training the person, you're tapped into their psychology and what psychs them up, not what psychs you up. And the only reason I can do this with Shada is I've known her for a while and we've chatted about this goal a couple of times now. When you have people in front of you, you would ask them, so when I'm training you, what's going to be more exciting? Is it going to be your next training session, doing a personal best, or is it going to be your goal to win the grand final? Do you want to focus on the next game, or do you want to focus on the grand final? And then it becomes different for everybody, because everybody's an individual. I've already tapped into the next question, which is, how will you feel? On the 31st of December 2020, the year is finished, you have achieved all of your goals and you're a fully qualified exercise professional, Jandy. How do you feel?
Amazing.
And the 3 words to describe how you will feel. Does everybody have different words? Everybody in this room has a different way to express what wowness feels for you, and it probably won't be wowness, because that's my word. So should we ask? What words are you going to use to describe yourself, the experience, when you achieve it? And should we use those words when we train with somebody?
Yeah.
Maybe not, because what's the next question? How will you feel if you do, and how will you feel if you
don't?
Some Olympic athletes are not interested in winning the gold medal. They'll actually say that, I don't give a toss about the gold medal. I just don't want silver. I don't care about winning, I just bloody hate losing. It's a different headspace. It's a different motivational tool. Some people are, and I'll use K-Man and I because we know each other reasonably well, K-Man is constantly focusing on being the best world champion. My focus is always, I don't want to be average. I hate average, I hate it. And if you say to me when you're training me, Rowie, you're training a bit average, you'll see me go. K-Man is completely the opposite. His focus is on being the best, training the hardest. It's a different headspace, which why these 2 questions are so important. You still ask them both. How will you feel, Robbie, when you're 120 and you're still doing chin-ups? And I'll tell you, I'll feel blessings actually. I can't wait. But if you ask me the question, how will you feel if you're 120 and you can't do chin-ups because you're too old? Whoa. Now I've got a real powerful motivation. Different headspace, that's me. Everybody in this room is completely different. And if we don't ask, we don't know, which means we can't help the person as well than if they say to us, Rowie, how do I lose weight? Well, let me tell you. Have we got the idea? There's only 3 more questions. Are you on track or off track? If you don't ask that question, you will have a serious psychological challenge with your client because you won't know what their headspace is focused on. A person that's totally on track to achieving their goals has a different headspace than somebody that's, oh no, I hate this, I'm always lazy, I'm undisciplined, I'm so off track, I really need your help. You have to work a hell of a lot harder now than somebody who says, I'm bloody nailing this, I'm going to win this, there's no way I'm not going to, this is me, I'm here because you're going to help me, Wayne, and we're going to do this together. It's a different headspace. Do you know how many exercise professionals even bother to ask that question? It's so important. Martin, are you on track to winning the next World Championship or off track?
Yeah, on track.
Your motivational skills are different now because he's on track, he's focused. And by the way, this is much easier to work with. If you don't want lazy, undisciplined people as clients, you have to ask this question. I'm not saying don't have them, I'm just saying that if you don't want them, you have to ask this question. Because somebody that's off track combined with, oh, that time frame's not that important to me, and now you have a client that doesn't come to their session, doesn't arrive on time, can't be bothered, and then you come to me 6 months later and say, I don't want to be an exercise professional anymore because everybody's really lazy. That's only because you didn't ask these 2 questions. How serious are you about achieving your goal and running the Las Vegas Marathon and finishing it in 5 hours? How serious are you about doing that on the 11th of November? Rowie, nothing could stop me, nothing could hold me back. So you're on track or off track. I'm so on track, I'm going to do everything I have to do to run that marathon on the 11th. That's a different headspace, isn't it? Than a person that says, oh, maybe, yeah, I'm doing this because my husband thinks I'm fat. Different reason, yeah? So are you on track or off track? Now, the next 2 questions, if I were to, none of them are more important than other ones, because see they're all really important, but this one, if you were your own high performance eating and exercise coach, what advice would you give yourself? I'm going to be very general here and very sexist. But an opinionated woman does not want to be told what to do. And if you are so respectful that you ask her, Rowie, as your own high performance eating and exercise coach, what advice would you give yourself on what you should do to be able to be 120 and still doing chin-ups? I will tell you. And I've got a strong feeling that every woman in this room will be able to share with all of us the exact thing that she needs to do to get her body into great shape to achieve her goal. Now, she might not want to tell you, because this is what a lot of exercise professionals say to me. Rowie, people just want me to tell them how to eat and how to exercise. You might have even said that. No, I just want someone to tell me what to do. Just tell me how to eat and how to exercise and I'll do it. Can anybody see any challenge with either of those? Number 1, what if what you tell them doesn't suit their life? What if you tell them to eat meat and they're a vegan vegetarian? What if you tell Shayla to eat beef?
It's almost an expression of why they need your help, because they want input from themselves.
That's right. And if I don't take responsibility, first of all, look at the ultimate example. If I don't take responsibility for my eating and exercise, and Wayne's my trainer, and he moves away, or God forbid he dies, what happens now? Do you know how many people have blamed their trainer because their trainer moved away? Oh, I'll put all my weight back on because my trainer moved away. Yeah. I'm serious. Oh, my trainer's on holidays, so I'm not going.
I'll get people to do that too.
What I'm asking you all please to do is ask that question and listen to the answers. If you were your own high performance eating and exercise coach, what advice would you give yourself? It might sound a little bit like this as well. When was the last time you felt really fit and healthy, and what did you do to get that way? And what did you do to get yourself into the position that you're feeling this way? And you would use their words. You've shared with me that you feel overweight, unhealthy, out of shape, you don't like the way you feel. How did you get there? And what advice would you give yourself to get back to being healthy, fit and strong? What advice would you give yourself? Now I'm going to use Prabal because we've had a joke about this. If the person says, I think I should be on the red frog diet and I should stick to the red frog diet for the next 12 weeks. Because Prabal called me and he said, Rowie, what's the red frog diet? I've never heard of it before. I've Googled it and I can't find it. It's my made up, there's 1,000,000, 100 billion diets in the world. Mine just happened made up, one happened to be the red frog diet. Now, if you don't agree with the red frog diet, what do you do now? If the client says to you, I think I should be on the, I don't know, let's pick one. I should be on the intermittent fasting carnivore diet, ketosis. And if you don't agree with that, what are you going to say?
Just say why. I'm ready to stick to it like all the life.
This is our supplement, yeah, go.
You ask, do you have a stack of energy every day? Are you happy with what you see in the mirror? Is it getting you to where you want to go? And if there was a quicker, faster, more safer way?
Almost. She's done it. She's almost there. Here is where you you ask 4 supplementary questions, because if you ask the person, if you're your own eating and exercise coach, what advice would you give yourself? They're going to tell you. And if they don't, you have to dig. Because if they don't eat beef for religious reasons, or if they don't drink alcohol for religious reasons, or if they are a vegan vegetarian for cultural reasons, you have to find that out. So give me what advice you would give yourself if you were your own eating and exercise coach. Now, if they give you something that you don't agree with, or it's not going to, you think it's not going to work for them, or it's just plain stupid, this is where travel, and I'm talking to the men now, Jay, you're probably the same, because you're going to want to do this. That's not going to work for you. But if this person has a conviction in those areas, that they absolutely passionately believe that they stay on the ketosis intermittent carnivore diet that's going to give them the best results possible, do you really want to have an argument now? No. Do they have the right to eat whatever they want? See, I could say to Shayla, but Shayla, beef's got the highest form of HAMI in the world. It's the best form of protein. It's a complete protein. You should eat it. And Shayla's going to say, yeah. Yeah? And how would I know that if I didn't ask, if you were giving yourself your own advice, what advice would you give yourself? Remember in the food questions we also ask that though, what do you like to eat and what don't you like to eat and why? So yes, we do ask why. So, you would get all the information from this person. If you agree with them, and you probably will, because most people know exactly how they got out of shape, and the advice that they're going to give themselves is brilliant. So what do you say?
Congratulations.
Congratulations, let's hold you accountable to that. Do you want me to hold you accountable to that, or are you okay with your advice? Pretty easy. If you think it's completely off track and it's going to do something terrible to them, if you have an argument with the person right now, are they going to stay there and want to train you? Now, the next one, it's only 2 more questions. The next one seems really common sense to ask. But I want you to think about every trainer you've ever had, every gym instructor you've ever spoken to, anybody that's ever given you advice. Even if it's your bank manager, or your accountant, or a lawyer. This question, you ready? What do you want from me? What do you want from me? We just assume, I'm the exercise professional, I'll tell you what to do. No, what do you actually want from me? As your eating and exercise, I am going to be your high performance eating and exercise coach. What do you want from me? And you might be really surprised that the answer that you thought is not the answer that you got. And the reason I share that with you is every single time I've asked that question, I've never got the answer that I expected. Because by this time, you're starting to build up a relationship, you're starting to get an understanding about this person, you actually think you know what they want from you. But until you ask, you won't know. And then here's what's going to happen. Now you can give a guarantee. The biggest challenge with our profession is that people pay money to a gym, a personal trainer, a piece of equipment, a nutritional plan, doesn't matter. And how many people actually get the result that they want? So few people. And then they blame the gym, and they blame the personal trainer, and they blame the nutritional plan because it didn't work. How about we ask, what exactly do you want from me? And if you can't do it, don't promise that you can. If you can do it, promise that you will, and back yourself. Put a money back guarantee on it. Put an I'll train you for free on it until it does happen. Most people are too scared to do that though, because, I'll just put that, you know what that means, what you want from me, is you're not promising the result. You can't. Because you're not going to play the game. The coach can't promise that they're going to win the grand final. Coach is not playing the game. You can't promise your players you're going to be winning the grand final. Who's going to play? I'm the new All Blacks coach, and I promise we're going to win. Who's got to play? The client's got to go play. But they asked you to do some things for them. And if there's anything on that list, you ask the question, what can I do for you? What do you want from me? And I'll give you my best example. My client said to me, be on time. She said, I'm busy, I've got kids, I run my husband's business, I'm training 3 times a week at 11 o'clock, be on time. So I put a money back guarantee on it and said, if I'm not on time, I will train you for a year for free. That's called a risk reversal, by the way. It takes a lot of pressure off the client. Particularly women who have been burnt in the past, they're very sceptical. Now you've given them a bit of a
relief.
So I came down about 3 minutes, I don't know, it wasn't even 5 minutes later from my class one morning. It was now 3 minutes past 11. Leanne yells out across the gym, "You're training me for a year for free." Kane's laughing because he knows Leanne. And I did. Because what did I promise? That I wouldn't be late. I also share with you that I never had somebody who referred more people to me. She knew what my word was. She knew that if I was late, and I promised that I'd train her for free, and I did. So Rowie's the real deal. You can't promise that someone's going to lose weight. You can't promise they're going to win the grand final. You can't promise they're going to be able to run a marathon. But you can promise you're going to be on time, that you won't smell. And the really interesting thing about when you ask that question, that's when the complaints about other trainers usually come out. Please be on time. Please don't have bad breath. Please be organised. Please have my program set up. Please don't Facebook while you're training me. Can you put a money-back guarantee on all those things? And if you do Facebook while you're training your client, what should you do? Train them for free or give them their money back. Does that make sense? So, we're going to run through this very, very quickly because for most of you, you're saying to yourself, I know this already. But as I ask you these questions again, what I'm going to ask you to do is, do you know this about every person that you train?
Nope.
Do you know exactly what they want now, what they want next, and what they want in the future? And how could you get a long-term client if you couldn't focus on those important things for them, because they're all going to be different? Do you know at least 3 reasons why that person wants to run a marathon, win a grand final, lose weight, put their wedding ring back on, be able to wear a certain pair of jeans? Oh yeah, that's my client who wants to fit into her size 8 jeans. Why? Why is that important to her? And see, because she remembers when she was 16 and she was a stripper and she was really strong. She remembers how good that felt. That's why she wants to get into great shape.
No, I want to swallow lump of coal and shit a diamond.
I'd write that down. I want to swallow a lump of coal and shit a diamond.
Swallow gold.
The only time I've ever heard that expression like that was from a UFC fighter. He said, I go into the ring and I swallow coal, and when I come out, I've shat diamonds.
Who was that?
That's very cool. Alright, 3 wheres. You have to know if somebody wants to lose weight, where on their body do they want to lose weight? If they're going to win the grand final, you want 3 pictures of where is it going to be? Where's the stadium? Where will you be standing to accept the medal? 3 wins, day, date and time. See how this is an easy system? Because it's the system of 3. 3 words to describe how you feel if you achieve a goal, 3 words to describe how you feel if you don't. What are you going to do? As your own exercise eating coach, what do you want me to do? And last but not least, everybody's made excuses for not achieving their goals, yes or no? How many of you have never made an excuse for not exercising, not studying, not doing something? How many of you have ever made at least one excuse about not doing something? We all have, and that's a digging question. Some people might say, oh no, I never make excuses. You need to dig a little. Have you ever used an excuse or a justification for not achieving your goal? Now, you don't need to say anything now, you just ask the question. As your own eating and exercise coach, what advice would you give yourself if you ever use that excuse again?
Keep calm and carry on.
And that's tapping on Robles, what we were talking about before, and I knew we were getting to this, so that's why I can share this. You actually don't need to tell your clients. You need to ask them. If you ever make an excuse or a justification or come up with a reason why you can't, what advice would you give yourself? And then get them to write it down or record it in their phone or take a video, or you take a video, and ask for permission. If you ever use that excuse again, can I play this back for you? If we put that into a beautiful complete circle, can you see why this is such a powerful series of questions? And you see why I believe that because we haven't asked these questions as exercise professionals, we have so many people who are sick. Last but not least, you now know what your client wants to do. But she said to you, I don't want to do strength training. I want to do everything. I want to do all this. My advice to myself is I need to do more cardio, and I need to come and see you, and I need to train with you, and I need to eat less takeaway food, and I should cut down on my wine, but I don't want to do strength training because I don't want to get big muscles. And you're going to want to say, but you have to do strength training because. Do we tell or ask? So we're going to start with bones. Women get osteoporosis. Do you want to have a weak bone? Bones that are so weak that they break inside your body and you fall over. Do you want that? Don't give me information, just ask the question. No, I don't want that. You know what usually comes out there? Oh, my mum's got osteoporosis, or my sister's got osteoporosis, or I didn't even know what that is. What is it? And this is a great opportunity to explain what it is. 1 in 3 women get osteoporosis. There's a good chance that you could get it. This is what it is. Your bones become so weak that they break inside your body and you fall over. You have a fall and you end up in a walking frame or in a wheelchair. Do you want that? Well, guess what? You're never going to get it. How confident are we going to be about that information? Very confident. You are never going to get osteoporosis, and even if it's in your family, and even if you've got it now and you don't know it, we're going to get rid of it. Because guess what happened to my mum's osteoporosis? Her next test at 80 was slight osteopenia. Any teenage girl that has ever dieted where she's eaten less than she needs and her body's had to find some energy, she will have slight osteopenia. We replaced my mother's bone mineral density. The orthopaedic surgeon even said, we have to do the test again because there must be something wrong with the test. You can't build your bones back. My mother, because at 80, she's an hour powerful, and she goes, I've been doing strength training, I've been boxing, I've been running, I've built my bones back. Don't you want your clients to be saying that about you? Just the most amazing experience. Can I ask you a different question? Your mum. The people in your life that you care about. If you never help another person of the general public ever, please imagine what it was like for me as an exercise professional to have my mother tell me at 74 that she had advanced osteoporosis and she didn't want to go to the gym because she had to wear a string up her bottom. Imagine how awful that was. I was there, however, when she came out of her second stent operation, and the cardiologist said to my mother, how are you feeling? And my mother said, are you ready? When can I start boxing again? She was 80. The cardiologist did this. Like, nobody's ever asked me that question before, because most women at 80 years of age are expecting to die pretty soon. And my mother's saying, when can I start boxing again? And then one of the Max coaches brought in a brand new set of boxing gloves and put them next to her bed to inspire her to be able to get up quickly. If you can do that for somebody in your family, is it worth becoming an exercise professional?
Yeah.
Bones. Muscles. At 20 years of age, all women will have the amount of muscle tissue that we're ever going to have. That's the extent of our non-testicle body. We've built our muscles to as many as we're going to have. After that, we age. It's a disease. Have you heard of it? Aging. Unfortunately, even if we do huffy-puffy exercise, even if we stay fit, cardiovascular and respiratory fit, if we don't look after the muscles, unfortunately they waste away at either a slow rate or a fast rate. If we are an inactive female, which means we sit at the desk, sit in the car, sit on the lounge, lie down in bed, sit at the breakfast table, sit in the car, sit in the office, sit in the car, sit on the couch, lie down in bed, we will now have a very fast, rapid decline in our muscle tissue. But let's just say at 20 we weigh 60 kilos, let's pick that up, yeah? And then at 30 I still weigh 60 kilos. So I've aged 10 years, but I still weigh the same weight. For most women that'd be good, yes or no? I'll go a step further. I go from 30 to 40 and I still weigh 60 kilos. I go from 40 to 50 and I still weigh 60 kilos. Would most women be happy to at 60 to weigh the same as they did at 20, yes or no? Small challenge. This particular woman I've just shared with you hasn't been doing anything to maintain her muscles. Notice I didn't say lift heavy or do strength training. She just hasn't been doing anything to maintain her muscles. She's been fit, so she's been doing exercise, but nothing to maintain her muscles. So she weighs the same. But every year she's lost 1 to 2 kilos of muscle. That's called the aging process. So we'll just do from 30 to 40. So she's gone from 30 to 40. She still weighs the same. Great, yeah? But she's lost 2 kilos of muscle. Muscle is small. So she's lost this much muscle. Small. But she weighs the same. So what's happened? So she hasn't turned it into fat because it's 2 separate things. This is gone, lost it. She weighs the same though. Fat is twice as big as muscle. So she may weigh the same, but does she look the same? No. She's bigger. Now this is not a good analogy because that's hard. This stuff, hard to touch, active substance, moves around, helps my body move around, has a metabolism, which means it requires calories to exist. Yes? Fat. What does fat look like under your skin? Have you seen liposuction? When they pull fat out, it just looks like butter. Yeah? It sits between your muscle and your skin and it looks like butter. And it's twice as big as muscle. And requires very few calories to hang about. It doesn't do anything, it just hangs about, literally. So when a woman says to you, I've got my ass hanging down, my gluteus maximus is untoned and it's hanging down the back of my leg, is that actually what's going on? That's fat. Great answer. Great answer.
Too many shots.
Good. So I'm bigger. But that's a big generalisation that I've given you. How would I turn that into a question for this particular individual female so that I can inspire her to want to keep her muscle tissue? Because if she loses her muscle tissue, she gets weaker because our strength comes from muscles. She has a slower metabolism because that comes from muscle. And she looks bigger and softer because that comes from muscle. But what's the questions that I need to ask? Because we want to do what Martin did. Well, let me tell you. How about this? We've already decided that we don't want to get osteoporosis. We definitely don't want to get osteoporosis. Do you want to have a fast metabolism that burns calories really fast so you can always eat as much as you want? Would that be a good question to ask? Ladies in the room, would you like to have a fast metabolism so you can eat whatever you bloody well want? Yes or no? Would you like to turn your body into a fat-burning machine?
Yes.
Would you like to be hard to touch or soft to touch?
Soft to touch.
No, great. But let's use MC as an example. When you lie down and one booby goes that way and one booby goes that way, what happens here?
Well, actually, for me, it flops everywhere because I've had 4 kids. So
what would you like that to do?
I'd like it to lift up and stay on place. And I'd really like my boobs to point to the ceiling, but that's timing.
Honestly, you have to come to everyone. Because your honesty is just delightful.
I don't want to lose my breasts when you work out, you know.
So if we could keep your bones really strong, make sure that your body's got a fast metabolism so you can eat whatever you bloody well want, and if we could tighten up your middle bit so it was, how would you like to tap? Do you want that to be soft to touch or hard to touch, middle bit? Tight to touch or soft to touch? Notice this is really good. The answer here is awesome because we could assume that you want it to be hard to touch. Because some people like it. And you don't really want to be. You don't really want to be, do you?
No.
So how would you know?
I want to be soft. I want to be a goddess, not an Adonis.
When your body is in the shape that you want it to be in, how would you know it?
Well, my bum will be up here, my breasts will be up here. And the tattoo will be on my neck.
Awesome.
And my tummy will be flat and the clothes will fit good.
And let me ask this for excellent exercise professionals, can we do that for MC?
Yes.
And how confidently would we say that?
With ease.
Easy. And see, that's a no-brainer. When you've achieved that, what would you like to do next?
I want to get her pretty. I want to get her pretty, and I want to wear high-waisted skirts.
So we'll go back again, you don't want to get osteoporosis.
I don't want osteoporosis.
And you want to have a fast metabolism so you can eat whatever you want.
Yes.
And you want to be delicious to touch.
I want to be delicious to touch.
That's good. There we go. Now, the stuff that sits between your skin and your muscle, which everybody's has fat, how much do you want?
Not as much as I have.
So how would you know that you've got the right amount?
I guess I'd be slim through the middle.
Is there a size of clothing or is there an article of clothing that you like to wear?
Yeah, I'd love to be a size 12.
Do you have a size 12 article of clothing that you'd like to fit into?
Yes, and I fit into it last year.
And what was it?
Oh, it was a wardrobe, a dress.
And what tell me about the dress?
Well, the dress is red, and it was gorgeous, and it was what I wore on my first date with my ex, and now I want to be able to wear it past his work, so he shits bricks, and I look fabulous.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
And what's happened this afternoon, and I know it's time to go, and so you've wrapped up this afternoon beautifully. Is there any woman in this room that has the exact same goal as MC?
No.
She is a beautiful individual person who has a goal that can visualise her goal. What do we need to do as exercise professionals now?
Help.
Make it happen. Yeah. We need to make sure she's got strong bones and she doesn't get fast osteoporosis. We need to make sure she's got a fast metabolism so she can eat whatever she wants. We need to make sure that the amount of fat that she has that she's really happy with, and at the moment it looks like the red dress would be a really good way to gauge that. Would that be fair? Yes?
Yeah.
And what about quality of life? How do you want to feel?
I want to be so hot that I don't even care if he doesn't notice me again.
What a beautiful answer. There's our self-confidence, self-esteem answer, isn't it? I want to be so hot that I like me so much that I don't care what he thinks. Is that have I got that right?
Yeah.
Notice I've paraphrased because I never want to assume. If I have paraphrased back and I've got it wrong, you need to tell me that I've got it wrong. So to wrap all of this up, you don't want osteoporosis, you want strong bones. You want a fast metabolism that you can eat whatever you want. You want to have a delicious amount of fat so you're yummy to touch.
Yeah.
And you want to have the kind of quality of life that you love your ass so much that you don't care what he thinks. Have I got it right? So if I can provide you with an exercise program and an eating plan that's going to do that for you, are we on track?
Absolutely. Here is $1 million.
Did I say we have to do strength training?
No.
Did I say we have to lift heavy things?
No.
Did I say we have to get sprinting?
No.
No. I'm going to wrap this afternoon up. If you want to do this with me one-on-one, I'd love it. We have to know how to get people fit and strong. Would that be yes or no?
Yes.
If you don't know how to get people puffed, you have to know all the answers to what happens inside the human body so that it can get puffed, so it can pump happy drugs, and it can become a fat-burning machine. Yes?
Yes.
You have to know how to get people strong because everybody has to be strong for all different reasons. We've all got different reasons for wanting to be strong. After that, what happens next? They're the fundamentals you have to know. You can't not know that stuff. You have to know how to get people fit physiologically and anatomically. You have to know how to get people strong physiologically and anatomically. And after that, what happens?
You have to know who they are, what their whys are, the individual.
So Deb, I'm going to use Deb as a reason because Deb's an excellent exercise professional. This afternoon was to exaggerate how good you are to the highest extent. You can help people, would that be fair? But there's something, you need to be doing this. I don't want you to be in front of a security screen. No, I want you to be doing this for a living, yes? Could you be comfortable with getting people fit? Are you comfortable with getting people fit? Strong? Asking the right questions so that people know that they're an individual person and care about them. That's the next program. That's it. quit your job, Chrissy? Do you feel confident you can get into fit and strong? After that, do you feel confident that you could ask this beautiful series of questions, find out about each individual person and achieve their goal? So can we do this? My 70-year young gorgeous man who does 26,400 steps in one day, you've been doing this for a really long time. Our world needs more people like you. Because 20-year-olds who look good, it's probably should be normal. 70-year-old blokes that are still fit and strong, that's a really important person. Dempsey and Bubbles, you have a huge responsibility that pretty much no one else in this, no, not you either. You have a Maori Pacifica culture, group of people in this country that really need you, but we can't help because we don't have the culture. You do. You have the contacts, the connections, and you can make a difference. This afternoon was about please get people fit and get people strong or know how to do it. But you can't do it until you find out about the individual person. And if we start treating women like women and not like individual people, we won't do this. If we treat kids like kids and not individual people, I met some girls yesterday that they've lived lives of 30-year-old women. Some of the challenges they've already had in their life and they're only 10, 11, 12 years of age. You can't treat them like children because they're not anymore. They've already been abused or they've already had horrible things happen in their life. As exercise professionals, we just need to treat people like individuals, and if you use this series of questions, you will. If you think you can skip one over, pick one and tell me. Every single one of those questions is just as important as the other one. Last but not least, we're living in a country right now that's scared to death of dying. I had children yesterday that are scared of dying of COVID. The immune system comes in two forms. We have, please write these down if you don't know it. We have an innate immune system. Those of you that have children, when your children are born and you put them on the floor and a germ goes in there now, their innate immune system stops them from dying. The body can kill germs, yes? Yes. Your body is innately designed to stay alive. So your immune system, your white corpuscles come out of your bone marrow, go into your bloodstream and kill things. It's called an innate, your body can do it, yes? The second part of that is though is an adaptive immune system. Unfortunately, the world creates new viruses that we've never seen before. Guess what your body will do if it's fit and strong? It'll fight it. In our country right now, it's really scary because 1/3 of the population doesn't have the ability to fight it. Because they're morbidly obese, or they've got coronary heart disease, or they've got type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or upper respiratory tract infection, or asthma, or something, or they smoke, or they've got something wrong with their lungs. That's a high risk category of comorbidities of people that can die from a virus. Guess where our immune system is built? You can't answer. Where is our immune system? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it in our body? I'll rephrase. Where's our skeletal system? Muscular system? Endocrine system? Hormonal system? These are all anatomy physiology questions now. I'll just go to the immune system. Where is our immune system? In our bones. Our immune system is built inside bone marrow, inside our bones. How do we get strong bones?
Lifting.
And we're going to rephrase that from this afternoon into
overload.
Overload. If I overload my muscles, they pull on my bones stay strong, and I've got every chance of having a strong immune system. Combine that with a fit body, which now I can, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals can get around my body into all the right places. Combine that with the central nervous system that's on fire because I pump brain-derived neurotropic factor into it, and I've got happy drugs pumping into my brain, so I've got a positive attitude. One of the biggest killers now for our immune system is stress. Our little kids are being told they're going to die, so they're stressing. So they're not fighting and they're not flighting, they're freezing. They're panicking, they're anxious, they're depressed. I don't want that for our kids, do you? Let's get them fit, let's get them strong, and after that, let's treat them like an individual person, find out all about them so that we can help them. Would that make us great exercise professionals?
Yes.
Thank you for a great afternoon.